Rollo excuses for not debating from the live chat. Imagine talking shit and then be like, well, but there's no real point in debating.
5 women from the...
It's so weird because I've seen right-leaning communities turn into left-leaning communities when it comes to being snowflakes against all criticism. A really good example of showing how shaming men doesn't work, or how shaming people doesn't work, and it's better to come at them in more constructive ways, is actually seeing how emotionally he responded to that Gillette ad. You have to be very, very, very tactful and very careful when you critique a person's behavior, because if you do it in a way that even remotely makes them feel like you're shaming them, it will produce an intense emotional reaction like what he had against the Gillette ad. That's why I don't use the word toxic masculinity or male privilege when I'm talking to especially red pillars, is because that word will immediately produce an emotional interaction that will shut down the rational part of their brain.
That is a logical fallacy, my friend. And let's see, which logical fallacy is next?
I love that he has these.
Well, I mean,
he has the whole thing.
We could call it, well, not ambiguity. Let's see.
Imagine you're trying to watch some potentially interesting material and you don't know where to watch it. Let's say you're in another country and you think, maybe I should go on a torrent site, a sketchy torrent site, download some stuff and watch it that way. And then what are you gonna do? Boom. Now you got your computer all full of viruses and everything is over. Who knows? You could lose $405,000. Anything's possible. But man, do I have a way around that? What if you're already legally subscribed to Netflix, Hulu, whatever, Amazon Prime, whatever TV service you use, and you're trying to find a way to watch it in another country? Well, man, Surfshark.deals/Destiny. And oh my God, can you just get the most amazing deal, okay? 83% off, 3 months extra for free. Check them out. You can watch any TV show you want on any service, anywhere in the world using this VPN service. You have a 30-day money-back guarantee to try it if you want to. And one subscription on any device will let you run Surfshark on as many devices as you want. Works on PC, Mac, Linux, Android, iOS. It'll work on your smart TVs. I think there's like Amazon Fire Sticks, whatever device you have, as long as it can run programs, you can probably run Surfshark VPN on it. 24/7 customer support if you want to check them out. Remember, 30-day money-back guarantee if you don't like it. Make sure to use the promo code Surfshark.deals/Destiny. Use promo code Destiny, 83% off for 3 months extra. They don't keep any logs of your stuff. Super secure. Check them out. All right, good luck, guys. I'm about to get destroyed. I'm about to get exposed.
We're going to get into Destiny here in just a moment, but before we do, well, actually, you know what? I think I'll wait. Standard caveats apply here. I don't have anything against Destiny. I realize he's a cuck. I'm not saying that as to be mean. I'm just saying that's an observation. He says it himself. I watched all.
Okay, it's so pointless to ever go back and forth with this. So my understanding is that hold on. What a cuckold is you've got like the biological definition, which is where like I think a cuckoo raises like another bird's child or some shit, and then some people will extend that over to like people, where if you raise another man's child, you're quote unquote a cuck. But the now cuck has expanded in the red pill community to mean anybody in an open relationship is a cuck. That's not really what a cuck is, but I mean if it makes you feel better to use the word, I mean go off, sis.
Look, all the fresh and fit stuff. I watched the Sneeko stuff. I've
never heard Destiny refer to himself as a cuck. For in these communities, if you're in any kind of open relationship on the girl's end, to them they're a cuck. It's basically, to red pillars, cuck is what progressives use the word fascist or racist for. So anybody they don't like is a fascist or racist. Anything that these guys don't like is like a cuck. Or anybody whose girl is, maybe it's even if they've ever anybody who knows, in a way you're a cuck or whatever, but yeah.
All that stuff, I'm well aware.
I thought it was people like watching their partner get Traditionally, a cuckold is generally somebody that likes watching their partner get and there's usually an aspect or an element of humiliation to it that makes the sexual fetish work. That's what cuckolding means, or cuck queening if it's on the girl's end, as traditionally is a sexual fetish. But for these guys, cuck is just a word that they can use to feel better about attacking anybody like an open relationship.
If anything, again, this is a premiere. This is this is not a live broadcast. This is just me and you today. I understand. I saw this stuff. So you're not surprising me with anything. I get it. Oh, don't you know he's a cuck? Yeah, I know he's a cuck. Don't you know about his wife? Yes, I know about his fiance. Oh, open marriage? Yeah, I got it. Stop. Okay. Whatever your opinion is, I want to focus on what he's getting into right here.
Nice.
So this is not a flame or an attack on Destiny, but I do want to, I think it would be educational to understand how I come to the conclusions I do in this video. So let's get started here. All right. for women. I see a lot.
Someone in chat asked what hot wifing is. I think hot wifing, has a lot of overlay with cucking, but I think, doesn't hot wifing more specifically refer to like loaning your wife to guy friends you have? I think is what hot wifing is, but I don't know. There's like, bro, it's like, when you get into like the crazy sexual fetishes, it's like electronic music. There's like 750 trillion different subgenres. I'm not gonna be able to tell you what every single one is. Go fucking Urban Dictionary that shit. Okay.
A lot of loneliness on the horizon. Okay, so by the way, he's criticizing a clip. I want to say this was February or March of this year, and I don't say that to be like an asshole. I say that as sort of a warning. I think a lot, like whenever a guy says, "Oh, you're going to be lonely and cat lady, and you're going to have box wine and whatever," like, and you're going to be a spinster is basically what they're saying, and it sounds like revenge. It sounds like guys are either too happy or they're too pissed off or too sad about like the state of women. I just go down the nuts and bolts, and I outline this actually in book 4 as well. There is a study by Morgan Stanley Financial. They did you can go find it too. It's online. It's called The Rise of the She Economy, and in that sort of research, they postulate that by 2030, women between the ages of 25 and 44. Something like 52%. I hope I'm getting my numbers right. Something like 45 to 52%.
It's over half.
Yeah,
it is going to be over half
of women of marriageable age will be single for the rest of their lives. They will not. They will not reproduce unless they get unless they get artificial insemination. But they will not. They will be unmarried and childless during those ages by 2030, which is like a very, very steep incline. In fact, they are so certain of this that they did this research on Morgan Stanley so their investors would know what to invest in the coming decade.
Wow.
So they're invest in box wine, right? Invest in cat toys.
What are we on right now? What are we reacting to?
It's not a joke, guys, when we say this.
In oven freezing, in reproductive technology.
And pet dogs.
Yeah, cats, dogs, whatever. What is going to be hot in the future, and this is what you can expect, and so this is what you should put your money into. So if we're already making predictions of where we should put our money, I think we need to look at why this is the way it is. Now, if you go and you follow the logic of Bloomberg or Morgan Stanley, Forbes, whatever, they will say this is a great success. This is a glowing, great progress of humanity. Well, finally, women are independent. Whenever you hear women say, like we heard last night from the 20-year-old girl, I want to give up my independence, right? Okay, I wanted to say this, but I didn't. Independent of what? Independent, like if you're independent of something, what were you dependent on that you're now independent of?
Right.
And whenever we hear this, remember I was telling you about how we've been hearing the same lingo from feminists for a long time. That's one of them. I want to be a strong, independent woman. Okay, independent of what? Independent of men. That's what it is. And they've already achieved that. There's more women in college right now. They're making more money now. Women control way more money than men do. Yeah. So when you're talking about like the bullshit of the gender pay wage.
Hold on, real quick. Sorry, before I permaban you from chat. The facts are with the red pill. That's why Desi won't debate Rollo. I'll talk to the Rollo dude anytime. I got 8,000 viewers. If he wants to hop on, we could chat. Like, I'll do it anytime. I think I've tried to reach out to him before, or I think I tweeted at him or something, but he never responded. But if he ever wants to talk, that's fine. He's the one premiering videos, reacting to a reaction from me, okay? If he wants to chat, I'm always open to talk. I'm streaming for probably 5 or 6 more hours a day.
Gap, whatever it is. It's not endemic sexism. If there's any gap, there's a gap in spending. There's a gap in control and authority over that spending. Women are the #1 consumers in Western societies.
He was in his own comment section making up excuses not to debate you? Wait, no shot would he do that. Not a red pillar. Wait, can you link that? I can do it. Rollo said that he won't debate someone that's not familiar with his work.
It is. But they also control, and again, another stat in the book is over the course of a family's history, women will control 90% of that family's wealth. Yep. That's car expenditures, that's college, that's we're going to go on vacation, we're going to buy this TV set.
Okay, oh God, I had to listen to myself. Sure, maybe, but all of this is like presented in like kind of a weird way. Like if the woman is the one that, and I think this is generally true, women are generally the ones that do the home shopping, the shopping. So, I mean, like in a way, they kind of quote unquote control the wealth, but it's a little bit misleading. They're not the ones earning the money, and they're shopping to like pay for the family, right? It's not like women are getting all the like 80-90% of the wealth and then buying like Gucci bags. I mean, I guess maybe some are, but
this kind of stuff. Okay, that's fundamentally false. I've got stats here. I'll throw up. Actually, I always put this one up, and it's too. Well, I'll start with this one. Okay, so actually, I'm pulling out real quick.
I thought he was gonna pull up a study, and he pulls up a fucking infographic. But okay, dude, let's see what we got.
Later. So here it is. I don't know if you guys can see that. I've got another one I'll have to blow up a little bit here too, but I'll just read this one out too. This is pretty easy. Economics of feminism. Women control 51% of all personal wealth in the United States.
What does that mean? Control all. Okay, let's see if we can do. Let's do some real reading. Okay. All right. What are we talking about here? The truth is, women wield a huge amount of influence over the economy. Okay. What are we looking for? Okay, this is source 4 is the footnote. So let's scroll down and see what we're talking about here. Women, 51% wealth. I don't know what the kind of source this is. It's just linking a website from 2020. Okay. It's 2020, women are in charge of more than half the personal wealth in the United States, but still only make a fraction of the financial advisors. Oh, this is talking about the balance between who's a financial advisor, or the gender disparity in who financial advisors are, I guess. I don't know what this website is. Okay. This needs to change according to Faisa Stafford, president. Oh, also, yeah, to be clear, in the video that I was responding to, he said 90%, also not 51%.
Women will control 90% of that family's wealth.
But that's fine. Even 51%, I don't think is right. I don't think they're earning 51% of the money. I don't think that's true either. I'm just trying to figure out what they mean by control wealth. Women control 51% of the personal wealth in the U.S., an estimated $22 trillion worth, she said, citing research by New York Life Investment Management. That number is expected to jump 30% to nearly 29 trillion. 96% of women have a primary or shared responsibility for family financial decisions. At the same time, women tend to want other women as their financial advisors. Firms have multiple mindsets. Individual firms. Okay. New York Life. Okay. 51% women. Well, can we find this study? What the f is this? Holy shit. Okay. Personal wealth in the U.S. control by women, 51%. BMO Wealth Report. Okay, BMO Wealth Report, 51% women. Okay. Okay, we're getting more into it here. Okay, with all this progress, women are now the primary breadwinners in over 40% of U.S. households. This represents an almost fourfold increase from 1960. Women also own 30% of all private business in the United States, employing over 7.8 million Americans, and control 51% of U.S. personal wealth. Okay. I wonder how they calculate this. So, source 14... I like how it keeps going farther and farther back in time. Originally, we were sourcing like a 2020 thing, or this was like a 2020 article, and then this thing is sourcing like a BMO report from, was this 2015, I think? And now this is sourcing something from 2012. But okay, we're going to find out what is the source of this number. We're going to find it, okay? We're getting there. Ah, fuck me, dude. Okay, hold on. I'm making fun of him, but it's fair. This is okay. Like, you can't always find a source. You can't always dig something up. You can't always whatever. But we need to be intellectually honest when we're talking about what does women control 51% of personal wealth in the United States mean? We know they're not earning over half the money, right? We know that's not the case. People listening to Wayback Machine. And is a woman being in charge of a household's wealth, is that going to be something that we, I mean, if you want to talk about that, that's probably true. But then like I said in my video, then I don't think anything I said was wrong there. Yeah, women probably control a disproportionate amount of the outlays because women do like the home shopping and stuff. They might decide where that money goes to, but it's not like they're earning over half the wealth. right? Today, women control 51.3% or $14 trillion in personal wealth. That figure is expected to grow. Source 2. This is from 2005? Farrah Warner, Power of the Purse. How smart businesses are adapting to the world's most important consumers, women. FT... It's like Russian nesting dolls, actually. I'm gonna be fucking like, here's a print of the New York Times in like 1894. Like, this is a Financial Times article. Oh, it's a fucking book. Women now drive some 80% of all buying decisions. By 2010, they'll cover half America's private wealth. $13 trillion. A few remarkable companies have learned how to refocus on women, and it's doing so, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Holy shit. Okay. I'm going to assume that my original assumption is correct because I know it is. This isn't saying women are earning 51% of the money. It's probably saying that a lot of women are in charge of household expenditures. So if you've got a wife and she's the one that does all the shopping, they're counting her as being in control of the wealth. I'm 99% sure that that's what's going on here. No, not 99% sure. I'm like 85% sure that's what's going on because traditionally that's how it's spoken about. If he wants to find a source saying something different, then by all means, he can knock himself out. But I'm not like... Bro, when your source is a fucking infographic, okay, it's time to reality check, okay? it's a little cringe, but all right. Jesus.
Women control 51% of all personal wealth in the United States. Control. Okay? Over the next 40 years, women stand to inherit $28.7 trillion in intergenerational wealth. Okay? Women save 9% of their salary on average, almost a full percent more than men do. Okay, that's the United States. So those are a couple of data points I wanted to.
What am I supposed to take from any of those data points? Nothing. We haven't made. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do with this. But okay.
To make you guys aware of, that's number one. The other one is, and I'll just show you guys this and share the screen. It's easier to do.
Hold on. Someone in chat said, "Isn't it even better to control money you didn't earn? Like if women earn 0% of the money, control 100% of it, wouldn't we consider women to be much more powerful than men?" No. Because if they're controlling money that they're not earning, they're in a way reliant on the person earning the money. Like, just think about that. Would you rather be the one earning money in the household or spending money in the household? I mean, ideally you're spending as a group, but if you ever separated, like you're still earning all the money. The spender is fucked, right? I mean, you can argue there are ways where it's like, oh, well, it's cool to spend money if you don't do any work because women are lazy, blah, blah, blah. If you want to argue that way. But the reality is that in any household situation, I mean, like you can do like a... Yeah, children are spenders of money, and children don't earn any money. Would you rather be the child or the parent, you know? The women have a dependency there on the men who are earning the money. You could say that, oh, fuck, I had another point I was going to make, and I just forgot it. But, yeah, I mean, you generally, you'd rather be earning the money. Oh, like, you could say, like, here's a thought experiment. Well, if you were a man, would you want to switch places with a woman where she's out working and you're earning all the money? No, most of these red pill guys think that makes you a fucking loser, you know? And also, it's not like women are like unanimously making these purchases with no input from the husband, right? Like if the woman is saying like, oh, we need dishes and we need cleaning products or whatever, the husband's probably signing off on it. He's like, yeah, of course, that's fine. And then she goes and buys it. Now is the woman like in control of the money there, right? Just the way that it's being put here, it almost makes it sound like the guy is out slaving away, earning all of his income. And then the woman's like, oh, cool, thanks. This is some good money for my Prada that I'm about to go get. Like that's what it makes it sound like. But maybe he'll be more nuanced. We'll see.
Here we go. I have this as a slide, but it's easier to blow this up. Okay, so this is an infographic I'm fond of using. Let's see if I can roll down here. Okay, purchasing power of women. Okay, when it comes time to buy, women are more often the decision makers and motivators. Recently, women have gained ground in earning, spending, and influence on household spending. Okay. So flooding the market, $7 trillion is contributed by women in the United States in consumer and business spending. 91% of women say they think advertisers do not understand them, okay? 2/3 of consumer wealth in America will belong to women within the next decade. Okay, so it's not necessarily who's making the money. Now, I can even show you the other. I've got an Uber fact stat I'll bring up here in just a moment. But women worldwide, women earn $18 trillion, but worldwide they spend $28 trillion, a full $10 trillion more than they actually earn. So yes, it does make a difference what women earn and what women spend. Because if women are spending and allocating the money that they didn't earn, which would presumably be by their husbands or by like men who are the ones making the money, and women are doing the spending, it's not about who's doing the earning. It's about who's allocating the funds, who's distributing the wealth, who is distributing the resources and the revenue. Is your wife the one who is in control of your finances? Is she the also is the CFO of your company female? So it's not necessarily, and I'm going to show you some other shit here in just a minute, but it's not about who is doing the earning so much as it is who is doing the spending and who is allocating those funds. 50% of products typically marketed to men are purchased by women. Purchased by women. Public and personal and public. 60% of all personal wealth in the United States is held by women. Of all stock ownerships in the ownership in the United States, women control 51%. These are the stats.
What do you think that means? I'm so curious what these numbers mean. Of all stock ownership in the United States, women control. What does control mean? Do you really think that women have 51% of the net worth in the United States? Is that like when it comes to stocks? Do you really believe that? You can't be that stupid. But I don't know what the point he's trying to make here is. Like when it says control, it sounds like the women are just making decisions like stocks to buy or what 401ks to invest in or whatever. Like there's a reason why this graph is saying control and own. And the problem too is, I don't know if he's revealing this, this whole infographic is coming from some fucking company that's trying to convince you to invest in women. Like it doesn't even say net worth, it says stocks. Yeah, I know. I don't understand the point. Maybe he'll get to it. We'll see what he's trying to get to. Is he trying to say like women are like secretly ruling the world or?
You never hear when we're talking about, the gender pay gap. I don't care about the pay gap. I care about the spending gap.
Oh, dude. I'm trying so hard not to dick ride. Because for no other reason, because I don't want to come off as a dick rider. But I feel like talking to Myron was a huge fucking mistake. If I wanted to get into Redpill community stuff, I think I should have worked my way up to him. Because listening to anybody else talk after debating him is like, it's like a child. That sounds really mean. I am being mean. I don't care. I'm only being mean to this guy because he made a lot of like insane comments I saw in the chat when I was on the show. Like, I don't care about who's earning the money. I care about who's spending the money. Bullshit! You'd always rather be the earner than the spender. Would you rather be the person in the household whose fucking partner comes home and they're like, hey, I need you to go buy some shit from the store, or would you rather be the person who earned the fucking money? You always want to be the earner. That's why men traditionally like to work and like to be the ones that are doing careers. If you have the opportunity to be like, hey, honey, you can go back to work and I'll just stay home and be a fucking house husband for 10 years. Most men don't want to do that. It's fun to have careers. It's fun to work. Yeah, some work sucks. Some jobs are hard for sure. But in general, the power, the autonomy, the driving, like career success and everything, men usually like to move in that direction more than just being like caretakers generally. Or you can say that's not true and you can say, actually, Destiny, that's bullshit. In which case, okay, fine, then you're ultra blue pilled. And men don't gravitate towards work and women don't gravitate towards housework. Everybody can do whatever you want and you're the ultimate blue pill. But like, as long as you're gonna believe in red pill gender roles, you're gonna believe that like men like to do or move to like other certain areas and women like to move to other areas, of course men are always gonna be the earners. But why would you act like you don't like being the earner there? Like, children are spenders. Children have 100% disposable income. They don't have fucking bills, right? But the child isn't in a position of power over the parent because the parent's the one that ultimately, controls the strings.
That's what I care about. I care about where the money is being allocated. Oh, well, it's not my money, but I'm going to be the one doing the spending. Right here we go. Spending and power. 80% of healthcare decisions are made by women. 68% of new car purchase decisions are made by women. 75% of women identify themselves as primary household shopper. 85%.
Like, just like, who does the grocery shopping? My wife. She owns you, bro. She owns you, bro.
Of all consumer purchases in the United States are made by women. It is not about who's doing the earning. It is about who's doing the spending. 65% of requested services at car dealerships are made by women. You would think it'd be the other way around, right? Women spend a combined $200 billion on new cars and mechanical servicing of vehicles in the United States per year. Okay, so it's not even a gendered thing at this point. What women buy, purchases by.
Honey, I'm gonna go grocery shopping. Don't try to little bro me.
By women account for 91% of new homes. How does that? When we talk about how do women organize society, how does 91% purchase a thing at this point? What women buy, purchases by women account for 91% of new homes. How does that, when we talk about how do women organize society, how does 91% of new homes, how does that affect the housing market? Especially today, because it's absolutely nuts. This would be a great question to pose to to Ken McElroy or Jason Hartman or any.
I'm so curious what he thinks that means. That like women are coughing up the capital to do, like what does he think that means? Also, is there an easier way to get fucking stoned in this game? Holy shit.
Any real estate mogul guy, this would be a great question. How does that 91% of new homes purchases by women account for 91% of new homes, 66% of PCs, personal computers, vacations, 92%, bank accounts, 89%.
I wish I could dig into his brain now. I want to know what he means. Does he think that like 91% of all the new homes are being bought by single women? Women are buying up all the 3090 Ti's. You thought those are being lost to Ethereum and crypto miners? Wrong. It's fucking women buying them up to beat us in esports. Like 81% of things being bought. Like what is the context of this?
We're gonna put our money, honey. I don't know. U.S. Bank. Cool. Let's do it. Food. 93% of food purchased in the United States is from women.
Does he think women are eating 93% of the food? I don't know what he's... Honey, where are you? Oh, I'm at KFC again. Oh, I might buy a house on the way home. I don't understand. I'm sorry.
Control of wealth. Women own 40% of all American private businesses. 40%, not all, not half.
40% of private businesses aren't like 95% of businesses small businesses. How about as a share of total GDP like output? Or how about like as a share of like actual net worth or like company valuation? Or how about like as a share of like private investment, right? Like, yeah, there's like a million random fucking small businesses probably in your city that you've never fucking heard of. That woman that like cuts hair might own a small business being a fucking, there's this fancy name for hair cutter, I don't remember. Like,
but coming up, 1.3 million women earn more than $100,000 in annual salary. Senior women age 50 have combined net worth of $19 trillion. Over the course of a family's life, 90% of married women will control its wealth. That was the quote that I put in there. That's where I got this stats from. Okay, you want to know where the sources are? Here they are. Marketing Zeus. You can go pick them up. All those sources are right there on the bottom. You can see.
Yeah, we went after one of them.
Okay, if you want to see,
we went down the rabbit hole.
This infographic, it's real easy to find. Okay, marketingzeus.com. All of it sites or sources cited. Okay, so I'm not pulling this out of my ass. Not just this sounds like just like is it just so reasoning? No, it's not. That's where it comes from. Women, if they're not making the money, they're directing the flow of where that currency is going to. So don't give me this bullshit about, well, we need to make as much money as a man, and it's because of this endemic sexism and the patriarchy. Fuck you, because you're the one spending the money, and I got the stats to show you.
But I feel like after talking to Myron, I feel like talking to somebody like this would be way. Oh God, I said the same thing. I'm losing my mind. Oh no, fuck. I am a dick rider. I can't watch myself talk. It's interesting.
Yeah. You know why? Because you don't have jack shit to say. You don't have a counter argument. Yeah, way less interesting. It would be a very short conversation.
Oh, let's have it then. Put out the tweet, bro. I'll talk to you anytime. I'll talk to you anytime. Do you understand that women are spending 91% of the money? Yeah, why is that? Because they're the ones that go out and shop. Okay, under whose authority? What do you mean? Do you think that they go out and they buy things like, and their husband doesn't want them to do it? Well, do you think they buy things that are like for the household? The husband probably wants them to buy it, so they buy it like with their husband's consent. Well, probably usually, but there's probably some that spend it in ways their husband. Sure, probably some. There's also probably some husbands that are financially abusive too, right? So we can get rid of those, right? Don't you think it's the case that when a woman goes out and buys groceries for the family, even though she's controlling 100% of that spending, it's in service of both the man and the woman there? Okay, maybe. But they're still spending a lot. Like, okay. This is what he said. LOL, Destiny thinks wives ask every time. I don't think that because I'm not a lonely incel fucking virgin like you, and because I'm married. I've been married twice, okay? That's 2 more times than you'll probably ever be married, okay? You don't ask every time, but there's a mutual agreement between people when shopping happens. It's not like you have to text your husband and sign off on the fucking grocery list, but there's usually a shared understanding that if one person is staying at home and one person is working, the person staying at home is probably gonna go out, drive, and buy groceries and shit. And it's generally in service of like both people in the household. Let's see. Rollo excuses for not debating from the live chat. Unless there is a point of contention to debate, these shows just evolve into who can mine the video for the best 30-second gotcha reel. I don't deal in should, I deal in is. Okay. That's the problem with the TLDR generation. They think anyone on social media is automatically an influencer and offering advice if they made a video. Bro, of course you're offering advice. What the f*** are you talking about? I literally just wasted 30 minutes listening to you talk about, like, I'm telling you that you guys have the capability to find the answers inside yourself. What is this if not self-help advice, if not life advice? People think I'm pro-life because I point out that abortion is a fail-safe for bad reproductive choices women make. I've never said anything about best practices. My goal is not to influence men. My goal is to equip them to find their own solutions. Equipping somebody to find their own solutions is influencing them. What a weird word game. Most debate shows are just red meat videos that stem from a confident ignorance on the part of the guy who mischaracterized the other. Okay, bro. Nice, dude. He's got like his whole own like self-fulfilling prophecy for why he'll never need to engage with opposite opinions anyway. Imagine talking shit. I would dismantle you with alacrity in 20 seconds if we had a conversation. And they'd be like, well, but there's no real point in debating. Okay, dude.
What do you say about these stats? I just gave them to you. I'll bring them along. You know, I got it all. I got a lot more to go too, so.
It's just kind of silly. But
well, it's not silly. It is not silly when those decisions, hell, the video game you're playing, the PC you're playing it on, 66% of those PCs are purchased by women, or the decisions are made by women. It's not silly. You just don't know that it's going on around you. Again, like I said, that's why we call it the Matrix, my friend. It's the world that's going on around you. That right now.
Bam,
son. Where'd you find that?
And I'll say this real quick, Rollo. Women spend so much money that a male company like Gillette will risk losing business, financial ruin, to crap on men so that...
Did I say something really stupid? Hold on, I'm sorry. I missed it. I'm sorry, hold on. What did you say? My bad.
Not silly. What do you say about these stats? I just gave them to you. I'll bring them along. You know, I got it all. Got a lot more to go too, so.
It's just kind of silly. But
well, it's not silly. It is not silly when those decisions, hell, the video game you're playing, the PC you're playing it on, 66% of those PCs are purchased by women.
I can't watch the rest of this. I don't now this feels like bullying. Now I'm sorry that I said anything mean to this guy. Now I feel like I'm bullying. I don't feel good about this anymore watching this. I'm just going to try to engage with what he's saying in the best faith possible because now I feel like I'm punching way too far down. It wouldn't surprise me if women were in charge of buying most PCs, but not gamer PCs. It's probably things like, I wonder how broad that category of PCs is. For instance, Rachel was the one that bought Nathan his, have you ever heard of a Nabby? Does anyone know what that is? They were like iPads for kids. Like, she made that purchase with my money. I know that we bought like a computer with my money, but it's like, those are like family. It's not like a hardcore gaming computer thing or whatever. It's not like women aren't building gaming PCs for their gaming men. That's like a specialist. It's like a totally different purchase, right? It wouldn't surprise me though if you're like, oh, like, hey, we need a computer. Can you go check it out while I'm working? Because women oftentimes have more free time than men to do the shopping, right? If you're a man, and if you've ever worked traditional hours, going out during the day kind of fucking sucks. Because when you're a man, if you're working at 9 to 5 and you come home at 5, fucking the bank is closed. Some stores will close at like 6, 7, or 8, depends on how late you get off. It can kind of suck. Yeah, your wife is usually the one that she'll take the kid, she'll drive you, she'll go buy shit or whatever. That's not surprising at all to me. And if you're working at 9 to 5, or if you're doing 8 to 6, if you've got some bullshit work schedule, you're working a ton, fuck, after you get off work as a guy, sometimes you don't want to fucking go shopping afterwards. You don't want to get home and it's like, we need to go to the store and buy this, and then it's like, fucking Christ. Like, can you pick it up like tomorrow when I'm working? Like, can you do it tomorrow afternoon or whatever? Get like your mom or whatever to look after the kid and go do, like that's not that surprising, and it shouldn't even be that shocking, and it's not even a bad thing. That's fine. If somebody else is controlling the wealth and that they're spending it because you're earning it, you're probably too tired from earning it to go out and buy like family-related things, like a computer for the household. But that shouldn't be like a surprising thing or a bad thing or a horrible thing. Yeah, like I don't know. Like
the decisions are made by women. It's not silly. You just don't.
Neither Rollo or Destiny are making any decent points here. If you've never been in charge of a household before, I can't communicate to you other than just tell you how it is. I'm sorry. When you get older, you'll realize that maybe, but that's just how it goes. Like I'm not going to repeat what I just said. If you're working all day as a guy, you don't really want to do the shopping for the household, or at least I didn't in the past. If I was working a ton, and Rachel, although me and Rachel worked, so it was a little bit different. But like if I'm working a ton and you've got the ability for your other partner to go out and do the shopping during the day, that's just part of what their job is. Go to any grocery store at like noon, and you'll see that it's like generally women in there usually. Or go to any store like during working hours, and depending on where you live, who's working more, men or women. It's probably changed a bit more today, but oftentimes it'll be like women doing the shopping, because like if the man is working, you don't want to have to deal with all that after. Like I don't know what else to tell you. I just repeated what I just said. I don't know what else to tell you. Sorry.
Don't know that it's going on around you. Again, like I said, that's why we call it the Matrix, my friend. It's the world that's going on around you. That right now.
Bam.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
And I'll say this real quick, Rollo. Women spend so much money that a male company like Gillette will risk losing business, financial ruin, to crap on men so that they can appease to women, because they understand even with male razors, women are the predominant consumers. So that goes to show you guys how strong women are the consumer base in the West, man. Even male companies are ostracizing their own target audience to sell to women.
Also,
Sorry,
I like that as well. So, a lot of people don't know this, but behind a lot of tech
I
companies,
think they're talking about that, like the anti-rape commercial they made. Maybe they're really mad about that commercial.
Okay, no, it wasn't an anti-rape commercial. It was a Gillette commercial that was meant to sell razors. That's what it was. And it was not even a commercial. It was like a small mini movie. And by the way, was directed by an infamous militant feminist.
It was, dog, it's a commercial, okay? People make commercials sometimes. They're talking about the, was it this one?
Now comes this. I gotta say, there's been.
I'm not gonna be able to find the commercial. Oh wait, it's this. It's the one with the meme, right?
Right way.
Not cool. Not cool.
Some already are.
People got, dude, MRAs and shit got so fucking ass mad about this commercial, which is weird because it's like, no, I shouldn't say that. I was about to say something, man. I was gonna say, why are you getting offended by it? But whatever.
Like independent filmmaker, whatever. In fact, the commercial, I did a whole video on this when the Gillette thing came out. It's not, oh, they're just mad because it's an anti-rape. No, you don't get away with those little sound bites, my friend. That's not what it was about. Myron's right. It was about shaming guys, but it was about getting women to buy those razors for the guys that.
What was it about shaming guys? I mean, like, hold on. Let's rewatch this commercial now, because I guess like I'm more fair towards both sides than I used to be. So let's see if I feel like anything in here is like out of line. I'm just curious. Let's watch. I'll check.
Bullying.
The Me Too movement against sexual harassment.
Masculinity.
Is this the best a man can get?
You don't get away with those sound bites.
Is it? We can't hide from it.
Sexual harassment is taking over.
It's been going on far too long. We can't laugh it off.
Who's the daddy?
What I actually think she's trying to say.
Making the same old excuses.
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
But something finally changed.
Allegations regarding sexual assault and sexual
Wow, such dramatic music.
But she says
And there will be no going back. Because we believe in the best in men.
Men need to hold other men accountable.
Smile, sweetie.
Come on.
To say the right thing. To act the right way.
Bro, not cool. Not cool.
Some already are. In ways big
Yo, men.
and small.
I am strong.
But some is not enough.
It's not how we treat each other, okay? Okay.
Because the boys watching today will be the men of tomorrow.
How can you get How can you be ass mad about it? Unless you really hate the concept of toxic masculinity. Do people really say boys will be boys? Absolutely, Abba. I'm shocked you've never heard that before. Is it a bit cringe? I guess if you're not into like the sentimental messaging or whatever. If you get like super triggered or offended by this commercial, you've got problems, okay? There's something wrong with your brain, all right? I've never heard that phrase in my whole life. Oh, okay. Maybe I'll qualify that. Maybe it's an American thing. The boys will be boys. Maybe you don't say it in Canada. I don't know. I'm sorry. That sounded facetious when I said that. But that might be like an Americanism. I don't know. I hear it a ton, or at least growing up in Nebraska, I did. But I think folks were mad about this ad because it felt pandery to women. How? I don't agree. I totally disagree. I feel like it's a better ad too in general because a lot of it talks about like we need to hold people accountable through Me Too and blah 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 blah. But this one is literally putting the onus on men to like be better and help other men be better. I don't agree that it's pandering to women unless you think every single video trying to cater to, especially because some of the toxic things in that video were boys fighting other boys, which is actually a real problem, right? Men killing other men is a real thing. It feels like it is like, it's so weird because I've seen right-leaning communities turn into left-leaning communities when it comes to being snowflakes against all criticism. It's impossible to criticize anybody without them like losing their fucking minds. Like you literally can't do it. Any ad like this will have people on the right like, oh, you can't say anything mean about men, it's pandering. Like, bro, chill. Like, have the fucking conversation. If you want to feel like it's pandery, I guess, sure. But I mean, like, it's a corporate commercial. Of course, it's gonna be a little bit pandery. But like, was there anything inappropriate? Was there anything incorrect? Was there anything like crazy outlandish? Like, I don't know. What about that bro not cool interaction? Please sound off on that. What, where it looked like some dude was gonna creep on a woman walking down the street?
To act the right way.
Bro, not cool.
Is that the too much for you? I'm from Mexico and we say it here. I don't think they wouldn't say it in Canada. Okay, I don't know. Why men hated it was because they think it made it look like all men are bad and they need to be taught to be better. Who's stepping in and stopping men from acting bad at every part of that ad though? It was other men. How can you walk away with that opinion? Unless you're just not engaging with the source material because you already have it made up in your head what's going on. I think not letting kids play fight is a little weird. As long as they're not hurting each other, isn't it a good thing? Play fighting can be okay, but kids take it too far sometimes. And sometimes parents encourage it. If I wanted to steel man the argument, why is a man's razor company trying to impart values to me to shut up? Trying to impart values to me? Because that's what ads do all the time. Ads try to sell you values and shit every time. What do you mean? Do you think a Maybelline commercial where toxic women behavior is called out would solve everything for these guys? Maybe, I don't know. If they made a woman, they probably wouldn't because of the optics or whatever, which I agree is stupid. I agree that would be dumb that they can't do those types of commercials for women. But yeah, I'd be supporting that as well if somebody wanted to do it. Crop check. I mastered all of my wood cutting and fire making, guys. Yeah, Pepsi had that police brutality commercial that was... What is this video somebody linked? These motherfuckers have assault rifles? Jesus Christ. Okay. LOL, ads are supposed to teach us values. Ads try to impart values on you all the time. Are you crazy? Fucking watches try to sell you that you'll be like James Bond, you'll be cool. Clothing ads try to sell you that you'll be like your favorite rapper or NBA player. Shoe ads do the same thing. Like what? You're not even engaging with your brain turned on. You shut your brain off. You're like, oh, are ads selling us? Yeah, the whole point of an advertisement is to show that if you buy a product, you can be like this thing. And then sometimes corporations do like messaging around like values and shit too, because if for no other reason, the fact that people will talk about it more. The whole point of an advertisement is going to get spoken about by a lot of other people. Like, I say that the time this was done in was telling. Height of the Me Too stuff. At that point, I think men were tired of being told to do better. I don't know. Was 2019? I think today it would be pretty cringe because I think in 2022 shit got crazy. I don't know in 2019 how many fake Me Too's and shit were out if it was as common as it is today, but whatever. You can't criticize anybody, men included, or red pillars or right-leaning people, because everybody is literally a fucking snowflake and they will fucking start crying and bitching if you say anything even remotely critical. But whatever, it's all good. I understand that. Part of the world we live in.
They're going and doing the shopping for in the first place. That's the logic stream that that's the downflow here. And in the meantime, we got guys looking like they're, dumbasses in front of a freaking, they're grilling hot dogs or something like that. Or you got the guy who's saying, oh, no, you shouldn't go out and, do better, basically is what it comes down to. It's not an anti-rape thing, although we can go and classify it as that. And by the way, I believe Gillette lost like somewhere in the range of like $8 billion as a result of this. You got to remember Gillette.
That sounds completely contrived and made up. They lost $8 billion on an ad? I don't know if I'm believing that one. I feel like every time people do this like go woke, go broke line, and every time you look into the companies, it seems like, not to say whether being woke is good or bad, but it seems like the publicity they generate and then trying to bring in more customers like always is a huge boon to the company's profit books. But whatever. Maybe they did. I don't know. I'll go look for that later. Maybe he's got another infographic for it.
Used to have, or I don't know if they still do, but they used to have the F1 racing girls, like the Formula One car racing girls in tight ass, Spanx, whatever it is, right? I mean, that's what Gillette was known for, as a male brand. But
well, that's what it was, but like, is it still? Is that anything they can never escape from? Like, do we need to go back to having... Anybody remember booth babes? Does anybody know what I mean when I talk about booth babes? Well, MLG used to have it, so...
Now, in a gynocentric social order, we change the narrative. Do better. Then
wait, gynocentric social order now. I'm gonna guess with no data, and if somebody has something that they want to show me, then feel free to correct me. But shopping has probably always been woman-centric. I doubt in like the 20s and 30s or in the 1900s or whatever, like, oh no, men are like after going to work, like men are the only ones going shopping or whatever. I feel like I've seen, I could be wrong, but I feel like I've seen like old-timey commercials and shit relating to like women going grocery shopping, but maybe not. I might be wrong on that. I'm not sure, but it wouldn't surprise me if women have generally always been the ones to be like grocery shopping and stuff. But I don't know.
It would be better if you would cry a little bit more. And everything, by the way, everything in that commercial, if it wasn't directly an affront to masculinity, then it was ridiculing masculinity. And what I mean by that is like there's the guys who's the doofy guy, or then it's like this appeal to like get in touch with your emotional side. It's okay to let boys cry, that kind of shit right there. It wasn't just about one thing.
First of all, it is okay to let boys cry. Number one, and then number two, where was it ever bashing men? What part of that advertisement is bashing respectable men? Am I crazy?
That's the whole problem. So dismiss it as just, it was just an anti-rape commercial. Go watch it again, dude. Go watch it again. Let's talk about that. I'd be happy to do a one-off on that whole commercial if you'd like.
Might have probably triggered somebody, I guess. I don't know. That would be a fun thing to go over. Sure.
Yep. And they control the flow. And Fresh used to work for a tech company, guys. This comes from experience. They control the flow of how things are put out. Now, like you guys said, women control the customer base for most things. So get this, right? A lot of our content is not geared towards women. So what do they do? Suppress it. And oftentimes delete it because it's not going to be suitable for their consumers, which is women. Yep. So yeah, that's very true.
Big facts. Sorry, here's another prediction, prognostication for the future. We live in the most emotionalized society the world has ever known right now. Everything is feels before real. We say this all the time in the Manosphere, and we joke about it, but it's really true. We live in an age, and I make the case for it in book 4. Our religion is emotionalism right now. It's how did it make you feel?
Like as opposed to what? When the rationality of man ruled, every man is like a perfectly rational being, or like.
No, you're relying on binaries.
Men allowed like fact and logic to dictate. Like, come on, dude. Do people really think we're that different? Like, in case you guys didn't know, Hitler was a man. Based.
Yes, I do. I'm going to show you exactly why I mean this. Okay, here we go. Sources cited once again. Men scored higher than women on emotional stability across countries, even more so in highly individualistic societies.
Men scored higher than women on emotional stability across countries. Rigorous methodological analytics shed light on the true nature of gender differences in personality using a large sample of agreeableness and emotional stability shows small to medium differences between men and women, whereas differences between men and women were very small for conscious and extrovertness. Are these are big 5 tests, right? Men exhibit moderately more emotional stability than women across countries. The meta-regression revealed that only one culture variable was related from. What is the argument is whether or not men have become less emotionally stable over time. Or no, actually, let me re-listen. Hold on. You might be able to interpret what I'm saying as men are...
And I make the case for it in book 4.
Hold on.
Our religion is emotionalism right now. It's how did it make you...
Like, as opposed to what? When the rationality of man ruled? Every man is like a perfectly rational being, or like...
No, you're relying on binaries. Let me call it.
Men allowed like fact and logic to... It does sound like it does sound like I'm making a binary argument there, which is true. That's fair to call out. I don't think that the overall rationality of man has changed much over time. And I don't think that women are in control enough of the world now that the emotionality of women is ruining the world. I don't think that, I think both of those statements are true. I think he's saying that men are better at emotions. Yeah, I think that's the argument. He's making a two-part argument. One is that men are less emotional than women, which is probably roughly true. But then the second one is them being less emotional leads to like a more stable or more in control world, which is crazy when the whole world has been roughly ran by men and also constantly embittered in conflict. And arguably, as women have gotten more in control of society, as women have had more representation across like leadership roles in society, the world has, as a whole, become more peaceful. So it's kind of a strange argument for him to make. Also, yeah, I don't know if emotional stability is necessary. Yeah, well, we can grant the emotional stability thing. Doesn't matter. We don't have to argue on that point, but... Like, come on, dude. Do people really think we're that different? Like,
yes, I do. I'm going to show you exactly why I mean this. Okay, here we go. Sources cited once again. Men scored higher.
You also have to keep in mind that like differences in a personality inventory don't necessarily boil down to differences in like grand decision making. So for instance, it might be the case that if I do a personality inventory, if I see that somebody's more emotional than somebody else, I may be able to predict how they'll respond to a given conflict or something, but that doesn't necessarily mean I can predict how they would make decisions in a business environment. If somebody can find the study on this to be so interesting, but here's something that I used to believe. People would say that at 25 years old, you make better decisions than when you're at 18 years old because your executive functioning and your prefrontal cortex is more developed. My understanding is that there was a study that tested this, and what you can actually show is that on the spot, you will have, the better ability to make decisions when you're 25, but given some amount of time to prepare or think through a decision, I think the differences largely disappeared. If somebody can find that study, it would be interesting to see that, because I remember reading it at one point, but I might be making it up, so it'd be interesting if somebody could find that. But it was basically the idea that like an 18-year-old can plan out things roughly as well as a 25-year-old cognitively, but put it on the spot, they might be a bit more emotional than like given time to plan or whatever.
Higher than women on emotional stability across countries, even more so in highly individualistic societies. I mean, I got dozens.
There's also like a ton of other, statistically there's a ton of other things we control over as well. Like it could be the case that women that get into leadership positions, because everything is going to exist on like a spectrum, women that get into positions of power might be lower on the emotionalness or higher on the emotional stability than the average woman as well. It might be that women that get into those positions of powers are more similar to men, because if you listen to old Jordan Peterson, I don't know if new Jordan Peterson says this, but old Jordan Peterson would harp on this all the time. When Jordan Peterson would talk about the differences between men and women, he would always say there's way more overlap than there is disagreement. And he would often focus on the fact that like men tend to inhabit both extremes more. You're going to find more men. There's a name for a normal distribution that has bigger tails on the left and right, but more men are going to be at the bottom and more men are going to be at the top as opposed to the middle, whereas women tend to cluster around the middle more.
Dozens of these, man. I can do this all day. We used rigorous methodological and analytical techniques to shed light on true nature,
maybe?
on the true nature of gender differences in personality using a large sample personality score test from over 100 countries. Agreeableness and emotional stability showed small to medium differences between men and women, whereas differences between men and women were small for conscientiousness, extroversion, and negligible for openness. Men exhibit moderately more emotional stability than women do across countries. The meta-regression revealed that only one culture variable was related to one of the personality dimensions. That is, mean differences between men and women in emotional stability were larger in countries that scored higher in individualism, consistent with past research. The interactionist perspective could help explain why these results continue to emerge. Men may be evolutionarily predisposed to thrive more than women in competitive environments such as highly individualistic societies. The lack of interdependence and promotion of competition within these societies could then explain why men tend to score much higher in emotional stability than women in highly individualistic countries. Here's one. There's others. You want me to show you the complementarity, the brain scan to fMRI?
And again, too, yeah, when he's talking about like brain scans and stuff, you need to demonstrate to me that women are making worse decisions in leadership positions, not these like fine, like ultra granular differences in personality traits, because that's really where the important thing is. Not to say that the data doesn't exist, by the way. There might be data out there that would prove his point, but this isn't it, right? It might be the case that you can look at you might analyze like the boards of different companies and say companies that have decisions that are made primarily by female heads tend to respond more volatilely in times of volatility. That's kind of repetitive, but like in times of great turmoil, like women respond more emotionally when they're making decisions as business heads. Those types of that type of like data would go on to say that like, oh well, look, the emotional life of women actually is a detriment here. That would be a more interesting argument than just like, here's a personality inventory. Women tend to be more emotional. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that information, right? Like clearly the types of people that are business owners are going to be outliers from whatever the normal person in society is. Like we need a little bit more to demonstrate the point that you're trying to make.
MRI scans, I'll happily do that. Let's also look at this. This is a really good one. Sex differences in emotionality, with women scoring substantially higher, were larger in wealthy and gender egalitarian countries, replicating a well-known pattern. Here's another one. Studies on sex differences in personality traits have been extended to multinational investigation. One counterintuitive but robust finding from these studies is such differences are generally larger in more economically developed and gender egalitarian countries. Men control better their emotions better simply because we're wired that way. We don't have the hardware. We don't cry at the end of Titanic when women do.
One of the most toxic things that red pillars do that really is really irritating, and it is a toxic masculine trait. Whenever red pillars think of emotional, they always pin it on women, and they always talk about crying. Like that's the only emotion that they can conceive of. That is true. Women are probably more prone to cry, but now I don't have the data on this. I'm just going by like crime stats and what I anecdotally know to be true. I could be wrong, but when you think about like violent outbursts, or you think about people engaging in violent activity as a result of emotional outbursts, that's emotion as well. And I feel like that's predominantly harmful when men do it. And it's predominantly men that do that, who are willing to kill somebody over a disagreement, engage in like really violent road rage, engage in like over the top violent behavior. Anger is an emotion as well. It feels like men are quicker to anger or push to a violent anger point than women, or at the very least they have the capability of doing more damage while doing it. Also, yeah, men don't cry at the Titanic movie. They cry when they see the Gillette ad. True.
And the guys who do have a more feminine profile when it comes to their brains. Got it? So if you want all of these, this is the great thing about Rolf and the great thing about like Rob Henderson and the rest of the guys that I quote here. These come directly from studies. Okay.
I really wish this is a little bit of a cheap shot, but not really. No, this guy's old actually. If this guy's actually written books, I'll take this shot. I will take this shot. When I'm debating somebody on stream or when I'm going over studies, we're going to bring up the study and we're going to read it. And at the very least, it used to be, but I'll even dig a little bit more. But at the very least, we'll have like the abstract and the conclusion. I'll give you at least that. And then maybe we'll go through the methodology a little bit so that we can understand like how do they get to these numbers. When you're pulling up tweets and infographics, it's not, maybe this isn't fair to say, but it makes me wonder how you do research. Because when you pull up a tweet or an infographic, the only way that you're finding that tweet or infographic, it's not because you're looking for research, it's because you're either subscribed to people that tell you things you want to hear or somebody else linked you a tweet or infographic that look good to you. When I go to search for studies on immigration, on central banking, if I go to look up NBER papers or Nature papers or New England Journal of Medicine, like mRNA vaccine shit, whatever, it's never like a picture in a tweet. Like, it might be, sometimes researchers will tweet out threads about their research. That's possible. It'll usually include a link to the study. But the idea that I would just be like showing you like, oh, well, how do you answer this? And then you show like a picture, like a tweet, and then a picture of the tweet. It's like, what kind of research are you doing here, dude? That's a little bit strange to me. But you know, I'm only attacking him for it because one, he's older and he should know better, and two, apparently he's written books, so he should know better if we're doing good research.
Gender differences in responses to moral dilemmas. By the way, that's an emotional thing. I'll come to that here in just a second. I've also got another one. Gender preferences gaps for voting for redistribution of resources. We'll talk about that here in just a second because he's going to get real indignant when it comes to that. So I'll continue this. Let's keep going.
It's true.
feel.
Yep. Our TikTok getting banned is an example of that.
Feeling, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
You know, punish women for bad behavior.
So-
Feelings.
So when I get criticized by women, it's usually for my tone.
Yeah.
Right? Well, if you would just say it with sweet little sappy sugarcoat what you're saying, then women will respond to it. No, it's not how I'm saying something. It's the data that I'm imparting to you that is offending you because it goes against the what is, you know, an ego invested belief for that woman. It feels bad, and I get it. It's supposed to feel bad because if it's not feeling bad, then it's not going to motivate you to change.
Yes.
So in the future, and I don't know when we're going to reach critical mass, but right now
even that doesn't make sense. There's no self-help or self-improvement course that's taken seriously that like produces results for people that works, that starts with making you feel bad. That's like, and you'd think there'd be like a lot of crossover between like
Yes, there is. It's called the U.S. military. Yes, it's called basic training. It's called boot camp. It's called tough love. It's called kick you in your ass, and it doesn't feel good, and you eat shit, but you learn from it and you grow from it. In fact, the principle. Probably not Destiny, but if anybody takes a martial art, you get better at it by feeling bad, by getting your ass kicked. Now you got to get up.
Okay, he's dead wrong about martial arts. I can't speak as much to the military, but the military isn't trying to make good people. The military is trying to make good soldiers. That's an entirely different type of thing than making a good, well-functioned, well-adjusted human. And also, the reason why the military, if we call it self-help, works here is because the military is able to take you and stick you in an incredibly strict environment. Self-help books can't do that. Like, you can afford to go hard in the military because I have you in basic training. I control your diet, I control your sleep, I control your day-to-day activities. Like, yeah, I can be really brutal towards you. Like, and I don't know if you would want to cite soldiers who have higher instances of mental illness, who kill themselves more than like every other class of fucking society. I don't know if you want to cite these people as your go-to models of like healthy human beings. He's 100% wrong in the military. It isn't about mankind, or it isn't about making people feel bad. It's about showing you that you aren't special and that you need attention to detail, and missing that can lead to huge consequences that can lead to people dying. Sure, but 99% of basic training after the breakdown is the buildup, though, anyway. Yeah, I can't speak too much on military shit because I've never been in the military, but I think I probably got most of my information probably from RNA back in the day. My understanding is that, like, you're not going to go in, they're not trying to break you down so much as they're trying to, like, make you part of a unit. Like, if you think, I guess it's kind of, I'm basically saying what you said. If you go in thinking that like you're special, you can do your own shit and blah, 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 that's the thing that they try to break you out of the most, is that like, listen, you're not special. You have to work with everybody else. You need to do your set of assigned things. Like, you need to be, other people rely on you, rely on other people. Like, this is your job and this is how you need to function to be like a good soldier or whatever. But also it's not like, that's not a self-help program. Like,
take it on the chin, dust yourself off and go back at it again until you get it right. Okay? Some people feel like shit. When I was first started learning guitar, I felt really bad.
You guys think I'm angry when I'm literally just trolling all of you? Yeah, right, noobs. If anything, RP helped me make money. Where this is chump change. Good one, chat. Oh, Christopher Harris, I think, is donating a lot. He's really mad in chat, I think. But
because I was like, I sucked at it. Now I'm pretty damn good. It makes me feel pretty good about it. There are lots of stuff. What is self-help? What aspect of yourself? When I was first started learning guitar, I felt really bad because I was like, I sucked at it. Now I'm pretty damn good. It makes me feel pretty good about it.
If you go to if you go to any music program or any martial arts program or anything, and you start, and the guy's like, you suck shit, you're fucking horrible, you dog shit, garbage, come back tomorrow, see you next week. Like, where are the successful teachers that do this? The only way you can do this is maybe at the highest of levels, where you have your huge, like 27 standard deviations off the norm individuals, when you've got your insane outliers that are willing to push like that. I like to be pushed like that. That's fun for me. Call me dog shit, make fun of me, call me names. That motivates me. But that's a very rare personality trait. Most people aren't motivated by that. You can't whiplash everybody into being like the thing you want them to be. Most people get really turned off by that. And if you do that, if you do martial arts, if you teach martial arts, if you teach instruments, if you teach any class, if you train your students that way, they would just leave. Students would never come back to you. They'd just be gone. They'd be like, fuck this dude's mean as fuck. I think you generally adjust your expectations based on the levels that people are at. You could get more harsh as people get better, but
there are lots of stuff. What is self-help? What aspect of yourself would you like to help? Right? What if, you can say, well, shaming doesn't work. No, shaming works very, very well. That's why we default to it.
That's just not true. I want to link research on that, because that's always a question when it comes to like fat shaming. I don't think shaming is an effective motivator of human behavior at all. It really isn't. We know that in terms of parenting now, that just like shaming and punishment, positive punishment, shame, doesn't seem to be an effective way to change behaviors. There's probably some like bare or fundamental social shame that can help with some things. Like you probably want to shame people into not being naked outside or whatever. Like that, some of that probably works. But in terms of being a huge driver of individual behavior, no, shame doesn't work. If shame worked, there'd be no fat people ever. Nobody would want to be fat. Like the idea, shame is just not generally the best way, or attacking people is not generally the best way to get them to change their behavior. But any good teacher knows this, or anybody that's been a teacher knows this. Like shaming people usually just makes them resentful, and it makes them want to do the bare minimum to avoid, whatever the punishment is, right? Respecting people, building people up. I'm getting anecdotal again. I hate to do this. I'm getting anecdotal again. But I always remember in high school, there were like teachers that gave you demerits for fucking everything, right? Your only goal is to just not get a demerit. Like, fuck this bitch, Mrs. You know who I'm talking about. If you're listening, if you're still alive, bitch. Like doing all of this, like if you've got teachers that punish a lot, your goal is usually just not get punished. Very, very rarely, sometimes you might run into a teacher that respects you a lot, that you have a lot of respect for, and usually you want to meet or exceed their standards because you don't ever want to disappoint that teacher. I always talk about that band teacher I had, like Mr. Johnson. Like the way that he wouldn't even really usually punish you. He doesn't usually like write you demerits or do detentions. If he thinks that you're not trying hard enough, it was always the worst thing in the world. If you ever find anybody that did Creighton Prep in Omaha High School band up until 2015, whenever Mr. J left, the worst punishment that ever existed in that school that made you feel worse than anything that ever happened is if you were playing a piece in band and he could tell that you didn't know your part, he would stop the band, he'd walk up to you, and he would tell you to pack your instrument up and leave, that you can practice more and come back tomorrow, or you can go and practice now, or you can go and do homework because you're clearly not ready to play the piece. And that was the worst feeling ever in that school. Nothing even came close to the level of disappointment because he always had really high expectations for every player in that band. And he acted like it. But you always wanted to like meet that because like when Mr. J is telling you that you did a good job, it feels really good. And I think there are teachers like that motivate that way. This is all anecdotal, so fuck me. But having teachers just scream and shout at you, like I feel like everybody has known teachers like that do that, and nobody respects those teachers. Nobody liked them. Nobody wanted to like if you had like a real cunt or piece of shit dick teacher, and how many times you ever hear like, oh dude, I kicked ass in that test with that huge piece of shit and they finally told me good job. Like nobody thinks that. Nobody likes those teachers. They're just trying not to get punished. Nobody likes those people ever.
What self-help does, it begins with feeling bad. Well, it's not that I'm intentionally...
People are missing the point. People are saying that feeling is still shame. You might feel a shameful feeling, but that the shame comes from the respect. That's the difference. When somebody tells you you're a piece of shit, and then you are a piece of shit, fuck it, who cares? But when somebody tells you, I think you can do better, I know you can do better, I have a high expectation of you, and you don't meet that expectation, yeah, you feel shame, but it's not because they shamed you, it's because they had a huge amount of respect for you. Failing to meet the respect or expectation that somebody has on you produces a better sense of shame to drive you forward than them trying to just shame the fuck out of you, in my opinion. As somebody that's been a leader, and as somebody that's been taught and had leaders teach me, that's just what I feel about things. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am.
You're trying to make people feel bad. That's just simply the result of being confronted with data that conflicts with your, it's fundamentally counterintuitive to your belief set. Yeah, it feels bad before it feels good. You got to take it on the chin. You're going to suck before you're going to rule, man. You're going to suck before you master something. And it feels bad to suck, man. It feels bad to get rejected.
This also goes against like all of the ways that we know to improve behavior too, right? Like you need to set small, manageable goals. You need to have realistic expectations. You need to have good check marks for like all of this. We know all of this from like basic like cognitive psych, like human behavior. Like you would never start off with a grandiose goal, shame yourself over not being able to meet it, and then pound your head against the wall day. Like after, like you would never do that. It's a really ineffective way to learn. It really is. It just doesn't work well.
Dude, it feels bad to get defeated. It feels bad to go, you know what? The reality is actually this. Oh, damn. You want to know why guys go through a red pill rage phase? It's because it doesn't taste good. That's why Michaela lost her shit on me, right? Oh, I feel really bad after that conversation. I certainly hope you did. Again, like I was saying, it's the only way people learn. Oh, well, if we just hold their hand, you want to know what the main problem, you want to know why we have the participation trophy generation right now? Like Destiny doesn't understand. Shouldn't we all be winners? No, we shouldn't. Men are competitive. You live in a competitive environment. The world has a competitive bias, my friend. Reality has a sexist bias. Reality has a competitive bias. Reality is live or die. Okay, I know we live in modern times, and shouldn't we have evolved past?
That reality is not live or die, though. It literally, by definition, isn't. There's tons of room today in society for all sorts of different people to do all sorts of contributions to society. It is absolutely not live or die. Like, it's just not.
Yeah, we should have, but here we are. That's not where we're at. And it's not where we're going to be at, because that's not how the machine works, and that's not how the animal is. So yeah, it sucks. You got to eat a lot of shit before you can give a lot of shit.
Pill and self-help, but I don't know if there is, because it's not real self-help. It's usually bullshit self-help, because most of those communities aren't like people that are massively improving their lives, because generally the things they're told is to like fucking sell crypto and get shredded. True, but like,
yeah, well, get shredded, get your fat ass in the gym, do the work, put your nose to the grindstone. That doesn't feel good, especially if you're overweight. Get your fat ass in the gym, lose weight, get to a normal weight. Women will want you more if you look better. Simple facts, reality again. I just work here, man. Yeah, that sucks. You got to sweat. Sweat is weakness leaving the body, right? I'm not trying to turn you into a gym bro, but I mean, it sucks. It hurts, especially when you're first starting. It's like, oh God, I don't, the psychological aspects, but there's also the physical aspects of it too. But you know who I have more respect for than I do Destiny? Big Mo, man. Big Mo, because he's doing it. That's why I will always have respect for people who are actually out there. Like, you see some fat chick that's running on, jogging on the street and something. Don't laugh. Don't laugh at that girl. She's out there and you're not. She's at least realizes, she's made the connection. Hey, I need to lose weight. How rare is that insight today? Ask Aaron Clary. He'll be happy to tell you. You see guys in the gym, you see fat girls in the gym, fat guys in the gym. Well, you know what? I got more respect for them than I got for the guys who are like in the drive-thru at freaking Starbucks, Taco Bell.
Wow, what a brave take.
McDonald's, wherever you go.
So brave.
I have way more respect for those people.
Yes,
because yeah, it sucks. It hurts. At least in the beginning, and then you learn to love it, right? Then you get back at it. But that's not what the red pill's all about. By the way, Destiny, the red pill's not about. At least in my humble opinion, it's my opinion. The red pill is not about self-help. There's prescriptions. There's lots of people who have prescriptions. There's a lot of people who want to take the red pill and turn it into 12 rules for life. As I was saying earlier, there's a lot of people who want to turn it into a self-help guru-ship. I'm going to tell you, oh, I'm red pill, and here's how you're going to live a better life. Yeah, there's plenty of guys out there. There's plenty of shysters. There's plenty of guys who have like, honest intent that are good about it too. But the red pill itself is not about self-help. It's about education. Education and equipment, and equipping you, getting you to think, kicking you in your ass. Because sometimes thinking and getting to the point where you have insight, that sucks, man. Especially if it conflicts with like the way you've been living. I tell guys this all the time. Well, this is a mystery quote. So you will only get what you've gotten if you keep doing what you've done. And if what you're doing isn't getting you to where you want to get, sometimes it sucks, man. Sometimes you're going to have to take it on the chin. Sometimes you're going to have to do the work, and the work is not going to be just freaking, margaritas on the beach, man.
Wow.
We're in the age of emotionalism. We're in the age of ego and the age of emotionalism. And so we base our policies, whether it's political,
how much longer is this?
Whatever it is, based on our emotional response to things. We have at least the last 3 generations of men who've been conditioned, and blue pill conditioning, have been trained to emote like women, to see emotional.
A really good example, by the way, of showing how shaming men doesn't work, or how shaming people doesn't work, and it's better to come at them in more constructive ways, is actually seeing how emotionally he responded to that Gillette ad. That you have to be very, very, very tactful and very careful when you critique a person's behavior, because if you do it in a way that even remotely makes them feel like you're shaming them, it will produce an intense emotional reaction like what he had against the Gillette ad. It's a really good example of it, actually. It's why I don't use the word toxic masculinity or anything, or male privilege when I'm talking to, especially red pillars, is because that word will immediately produce an emotional interaction that will shut down the rational part of their brain.
Trained and taught that the way that women process emotion is the correct way to process emotion. Right. So when we say, oh, that man he's toxically masculine, he's not in touch with his feelings, right? He needs to express himself emotionally. He needs to get in touch with his feminine side. All that stuff we've been talking about since the 70s. The reason why that's still a thing right now is because it's a great means of control over those guys, so that they will identify and align with the feminine, which is all based on emotion. So when we talk about like the emotional children that are out rioting in the streets right now, and they're tearing down statues, and don't they know that statue is this? And they're not thinking rationally. They're not thinking with reason. They're thinking emotionally, because those last 3-4 generations have been taught to emote like women. To be like woman. Woman is correct. Transgenderism, right? Why is it that more boys want to be girls than girls want to be boys? Because it's more advantageous socially to be a girl in a gynocentric social order than it is to be a man, because nobody wants to be a dad. Dads are assholes. Boys are toxically masculine. We got to give him Ritalin. We got to give him Adderall. We got to sedate that boy with drugs, with opiates, with alcohol, with pornography. Sedate him. Don't let him do anything, because if you let him do anything, he might turn toxic. He might turn violent. And it's all because we want to put men we want to force fit them into this emotional correctism. Whatever's female is correct. Yep. And so if you are brought up that way, you're going to vote that way. You're going to look for jobs that way. You're going to relate with people that way. Guys, the number one thing, guys, I'm sure you've already got this. Guys will come to me for counseling or coaching or whatever the hell it is, right? And they'll say, Rollo, I don't know how to interrelate with guys. I don't know how to talk to guys. I don't know. These guys, I want to hang out. I was talking about tribalism. Or about,
it's very important for me.
We have our little tribe. This is a tribe right here. Yep. Okay. Do you have tribes? And they don't. And the reason they don't is because they've been taught to emote and to relate to men as if they are women.
Yeah.
And that's what's valuable.
It's like, it's such a huge jump. Like, don't you think it's just more possible that technology alienates us? And I can actually look and show you like 50 million ways in how technology alienates us. And it's like, I don't want to say self-evident because that's kind of cheating, but I mean, like, just look at how look at how divided we are. Look at how much time we spend online. Like, look at how much our dopamine shit is fucked. Like, isn't that like obviously like, no, actually what I think has happened is men have been feminized to the point to where they don't know how to make friends with other men. Because like, it's such a, what does that even mean? What does that look like? Like, what does it look like when a guy is trying to make friends with another guy, but he's been too feminized? I'm just curious. Like, I don't even know. Wow, Angeberg, welcome to or thanks for gifting 20.
Well, that's what makes them valuable. That's how they get their self-worth. So it's no shock to me when guys in the black pill community or blue pill or purple pill or whatever it is, they don't want to make women the measurement of their lives, but they still emote and they still relate with people as if they have a feminine sort of training. So when we look at things like communitarianism, we look at socialism, we look at like, why are we even talking about socialism in the United States right now? It's because we put so many women into positions of power that seems like a good idea.
Super chat's only showing screen for a second. Yeah, they're fucked right now. I'll look at it after stream. It's gotta be like, it's so attractive. And I understand, like, I get the draw of it. Like, it's super nice if like my one pet issue just happens to be the thing that can describe all the ills of humanity. But I mean, like, at some point, do you not feel like a little bit like, maybe I'm trying really hard to shoehorn in an explanation for every single social ill with like my particular pet project, like my particular thing that I care about? Doesn't it feel like at some point, like, okay, maybe I'm stretching a little bit? Why have video games gotten so much worse? Well, mechanics of the QuickTime events have gotten more popular because women have less reaction time, and so QTEs are like, it just feels like,
that is a logical fallacy, my friend. And let's see, which logical fallacy is that?
I love that he has these.
Well, I mean,
he has the whole thing.
We could call it, well, not ambiguity. Let's see, anecdotal. A slippery slope would be a good one. I suppose you could call that a slippery slope. It's like an appeal to like binary extremes, right? Like, as if I'm going to say that the reason why video games suck or this is bad or like they didn't get good service at the fucking restaurant is because like I got to shoehorn it into my beliefs about women or whatever. No, listen to what I'm saying. Do not default to, wait, is that begging the question? Maybe that was it. Yeah, no. Circular argument in which the conclusion is included in the premise.
No,
okay? And then the other one, my favorite, of course.
This had nothing to do with circularity. If you were to say a fallacy, what would it be? If somebody says, I think that, somebody says, I think feminism can explain A, B, and C problems, and I say, well, isn't it convenient for you that feminism happens to explain every problem? What would that be? And then I say that you would say it would explain something that they wouldn't normally say it would explain. Could be a straw man, maybe. I think it would just be straw man, because you'd say, hold on, you're straw manning me. I've never said that this particular problem would come from feminism. I think you just call it a straw man if you wanted to.
Is avoiding having to engage criticism by turning it back on the accuser, answering criticism with criticism, which of course is the most popular tactic that women use when it comes to issues and arguments that they have no counter argument for. And here we have a very feminized mindset.
Very feminized.
Able to sort of glean from these videos he's done with.
I like how it's a logical fallacy, and you can tell it is because it's something that women do. Like, just deal in the logic, my friend. Like, logical fallacies can be fallacious, like by their own virtue. That's why they're called fallacies. They're not fallacies because women do them. Like, just focus on the fallacious argument.
Myron Fresh and Sneeko. When I look at this, I go, well, that's most definitely that's the tactic, right? So that's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that women and men organize societies differently. When we put women into positions of power, they organize and exercise that power much differently than men do. Women tend to be more communitarian in their approach. Men tend to be more hierarchical in their approach. I'll try to make this put it in like monosyllabic words so people can understand this, okay? In our hunter-gatherer ancestral past, women were the berry pickers. They were the gatherers. They were the givers of life. They were the incubators.
Well, okay, I could be wrong because I don't remember. Isn't this largely outdated? Or somebody can tell me. I thought it used to be the case that we thought that like men were the hunters and women were like basket weavers and berry pickers. But I thought that it's the case that as they've done more investigation over time, it seems like everybody just did everything. Am I right or wrong on that? I don't know. I would imagine. I feel like men would be more likely to be engaged in like the physically arduous activities, so like the hunting and stuff. I know that women can do like distance running and stuff pretty well though, but maybe I should look that up sometime. I thought the older societies weren't quite as like rigidly split as we thought they were, or as we sometimes say they are. I should have made an assembly line to do these cargo rocket things. Holy fuck. Ancient men or hunters. Ancient. This is archaeological evidence from Peru. I don't know how much the physiology would affect the hunting part. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm not sure. This is like an article, so maybe I'll dig into this sometime. I'm sure that there was some segregation by gender for some reasons or whatever. People in chat are saying there's like big burly men did the hunting. I doubt there were that many big burly men at all. Because it's not like you didn't have like gyms or weightlifting or anything back then. And I think the majority of our big game hunting was just done by walking things down until they got tired and quit. Or that's my understanding. Or at least for a lot of hunting, because we typically just run until the things get tired and they die. But I'm sure there was still some gender segregation on things, I'm sure.
They were the vulnerable sex. For 9 months, they had to gestate and bring a child to term. And usually, in our ancestral past, women's lives were consumed by one or more of those children, either in hand or in belly, most of the time. They needed protection. They needed protection from the elements. They needed protection from...
Hey, women are pretty capable, even while pregnant, up until like a few weeks before delivery. I mean, like, it's not like women are... I think Rachel worked like until like 3 days before her birth. There was another girl, Michaela, who did as well. That was my casino job, but...
warring tribes. They needed protection from wild animals. They needed food, provisioning, everything. The 3 Ps of the beta buck side of hypergamy: protection, provisioning, and parental investment. They damn well needed all of that. And so, as a result, women tend to be the more communicative. They tend to rely on one another because there's strength in numbers. And there's this natural affinity. I can get into the war brides aspect of this too, if you'd like. But long story short, women tend to be more communal. They tend to be more communitarian. As you know, you've probably heard, I don't know, God knows, Hillary Clinton and whoever else say this, but in the past, it takes a village to raise a child. Community. Oh, will you babysit my kid while I'm doing this today? I got to go out and pick berries. Jenny, will you watch my kid? There's that communitarianism that is much more an egality. You want to know where egalitarian comes from? It comes from that community, that sense of that inter-reliance, interdependency of women, by women, on women, for women. Men, on the other hand, tend to be more competitive, and we tend to be more hierarchical, simply because that's simply how our sexual nature breaks down. We want to know who's the best, who's the chief, who's the sub-chief, who's the sub-sub-chief, who's the general, who's the lieutenant, who's the sergeant, who's the corporal, who's the private, all down the chain of command. Same thing in our workspace, same thing in our politics, same thing in our religions. It's all hierarchical. Who's at the top and who's at the bottom? Who are the people doing the work? Who are the plebes? Who are the serfs? Who are the knights? Who are the noblemen? There's so many ways I can show you male organized society throughout history. But when women get a hold of it, and I say, well, don't you think that Karl Marx was a man? He's the one who came up with Marxism and communism and everything. I go, yeah, based on a faulty understanding of human nature. Yeah, it's a failed meme. It's a dead meme. And the fact that we're even talking about it right now is a testament to the fact that we put women in charge, and it seems like a good fucking idea. We would never, like, I remember when Andrea Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, was getting into Congress, and they are seriously talking about, or naming their political parties Democratic Socialists. Hell, in Nevada, the state government is just about entirely Democratic Socialists. That's the name. That's in the title. When did that begin? Like, remember when McCarthyism was going on? When that was going on, and people ran him up the flagpole. I'm not saying he was right or wrong. I'm just saying that their attitude towards that was much different than it is right now. We're actually going, oh, this sounds like a good idea, democratic socialism, right? Communitarianism. When women get into a hierarchy, especially in the workplace, women get into the hierarchy of the patriarchal framework of a male-dominated, male-created organization of business to compete against other dudes who have the same freaking organization. When women come into that, they go, we need pregnancy leave. We need a ball pit in the communal workspace. We need Bagel Tuesdays. Oh, Jen's leaving. We need to have a going away party. Oh, we need to have a birthday party because so-and-so just turned 30. That's
what are these fucking examples? Like, can we have a birthday party? No, that's feminine. We don't do birthdays here. Unless you want to rank yourself as below me, and then I'll concede to you and make a birthday party. Like, for what are we even talking? Bagel Tuesday? Sorry, but you're not the co-captain, lieutenant, chieftain. You don't have the authority to make that call, John. Back to your cubicle, loser. Trying to let your wife buy any houses on the way over there. Like,
we need a talent show night, right? We need this. It's like women get into this male-dominated workspace, and they try to make it more palatable to a female way of thinking. And usually, that is programs that benefit women are much more communitarian, and they are less competitive and less hierarchical.
I feel like somebody can call me out if I'm wrong on this, because I could be wrong. But didn't I thought all of the FANG companies moved towards this because it generally worked out better. Where I think I knew a guy that was an Amazon engineer, and he said they tried to move you around different projects throughout the year. I know they tried open floor spaces for a long time. I don't think they ended up liking those. But don't they generally encourage you at, like, when you're working for one of the FANG companies or any of these huge tech companies, don't they generally encourage you to work on other projects and do things to either balance out your skills or to give you more innovation or to... I feel like, because I've been on the Facebook campus before. I haven't been on any others, but Oh, and they did workplace fun shit to retain employees. Oh, you work for Facebook. Meta, sorry. I'm a Google dev, yes. Is he just gonna ignore the socialist countries run by men? Yeah, I don't know. Google engineers dedicate 10 to 20% of their time to side projects, if I recall. Oh, gotcha. Interesting, okay. And Amazon makes it easy to switch teams and encourages it, yeah. But I guess we can call this a feminine thing, I don't know. Like women created birthday parties, okay.
When we look at like group sports, like was it like, I forget what, I use this example all the time. It's like, there was a time where, I forget which soccer team it was, but it was, I want to say it was an Australian soccer team. That's not the one that the kids beat. I'm saying it was in the news about a year ago. And it was, the concept was this, is like, there's no captain of the soccer team. It's like the women in the soccer team would take turns being the captain because everything wanted to be even Steven. We're all going to be represented. And as I was making the observation here with Fresh and Fit, I said the same thing. I said, look, when women, these are the experiments, these are the research, okay? When women are given a set of resources, money, whatever it is, to distribute, and men are given the same amount of resources for whatever it is that they're doing, women tend to redistribute revenue and resources as evenly as possible. One for you, and one for you, and one for you, and one for you. And oh, Jenny, you're pregnant, so here's two for you, one for you, one for you. And it tends to be much more egalitarian, much more communitarian, much more socialist. For men, it is usually based on performance. It's meritocracy. It is, you say, oh, it's patriarchal, whatever. It is merit-based. So if John does way better...
These are like such insanely, like hugely generalizing statements. It just, I can't even engage them because it's not, what he's saying is not even wrong. Like there's not even anything like, I don't even know how you're going to quantify that or measure it or even if it's good or bad. Because like, in some ways, the female workplaces that he's describing actually sound based. Like, I'd rather work at the place that has like fucking birthday parties and Bagel Tuesday than the place that has like fucking, hey, tomorrow night like Mark and Luke are gonna fight to the death to see who has the rights to like lead the, you know, the project for whatever expansion. Like these places sound like dog shit. The male dominated ones, these sound horrible. Oh my god. But whatever.
He's the one who's the team leader. He gets more money. The guy below him who's the facilitator, he gets some more money, but less. Like he gets $10, he gets $5. The next guy gets $3. The next guy gets $2, and everybody else gets $1 for just participating. It's based on performance. It's based on the job that you did. And you want to know why we're still complaining about gender pay gaps and we're talking about like equality of outcome as opposed to equality of opportunity? It's because we have women in positions of power that think that equality of outcome is equality. That's why we're saying, oh, well, we need to pay the U.S. female soccer team the same amount of money that the male soccer team gets, even though their revenue is like, 10 or 20 times lower than that of the men. It's not about the performance of the men. Like the male team are probably going mop the floor with the female team. But they're like, it doesn't matter. We're playing a sport and this is what we're doing. And we deserve exactly the same amount of money as these guys get. Okay. But in a female way of thinking, that makes sense.
It's funny. He's literally describing the types of offices that men run as like nightmare workplaces. Yeah, true. Like nobody would like to work in any of these places. Like, Jesus Christ.
They're doing the same job that we're doing, so we should get the same. Okay, that's one for you, one for you, and one for you, and one for you. That's egalitarian. That's everything's even. We should all get the same thing because we do the same thing. Now,
hey, use the life support canister.
Say, no, the guys are going to make more money because the guys are more competitive, and the guys bring in more revenue, and therefore their performance, their hierarchical performance, outperforms the women on that hierarchy. So in the hierarchy of soccer players and U.S. soccer players, Olympic team, whatever, in the game of soccer. In the game of football,
in that using game, my life support?
If women are on that hierarchy and men are in that hierarchy, men are at the top of that hierarchy and women are, somewhere in between. Maybe not at the bottom, but certainly below that of men. In that way of organizing society, the men get more money because the performance and because they merit more money than the little ladies do. Simple as that. That is it in a nutshell. Men organize societies in hierarchies, women organize societies in communities. That's why socialism seems like a good idea to women. That's how you get the participation trophy generation. Everyone's a winner. No one should feel bad, right? Wasn't he just complaining about that? Well, the Red Pill, I don't think of any self-help program that starts with making people feel bad. I do. It's called sports. It's called high school sports. Yeah, you get better or you don't. You'll feel bad when you lose. Somebody's got to lose unless we live in girl world. And in girl world, everyone gets a trophy. And it means nothing.
Why can't these guys ever have like balance? Hold on. There's like, like, we can all agree that participation trophies for everything and nobody being able to fail ever and all that, like, that's cringe. Sure, we can agree with that 100%. But like, do you always have to run to the opposite extreme where everything is like an ultra competitive, ultra hierarchy, ultra cutthroat, ultra everything is the Chiefs and like, damn, can't you just like chill? Why not recognize there's probably a few benefits to both sides and try to incorporate them and then synthesize them into something like better than what either one would be on its own, you know? Like,
especially to little boys who are very, very competitive. How do we know that? Well, let me explain something. Let me give you a bit of information. Here we go. Men attribute more positive outcomes to competition than women.
This guy really just loves this Rolf Degen guy on Twitter, huh? Is this where he gets all of his data from?
Women are less competitive than men in most contexts studied. Rapidly accumulating evidence suggests that competitiveness may pattern career-related choices and behaviors in ways that maintain and exacerbate the gender gap in economic and political outcomes. Imagine that. This is in 2019. To examine whether this gender difference is linked to differential beliefs about competition, we developed a scale measuring lay beliefs about competition. Okay, you can read the rest of this. I don't want to go too deep in here.
Men are more likely to believe that competition improves performance, builds character, and leads to creative problem solving. Gender differences are smaller, less robust, and inconsistent for the different negative outcomes attributed to competition, such as encouraging unethical behavior, hurting self-esteem, and damaging relationships. We also show in 2 studies that only positive lay beliefs about competition predict competitive attitudes and behaviors and account for some of the gender differences in competitiveness. One possibility is that the difference is purely driven by the gender difference in competitiveness, and beliefs about competition are simply rationalizations for competitive attitudes. A second reason for the gender difference in lay beliefs about competition may be that women and men experience competition differently, and their beliefs reflect those different experiences. But hold on, let me get my food 1 sec.
However, at the end of the day, men attribute more positive outcomes to competition than women do. This, by the way, and everything that I show you from Rolf Dungren or Steve Stewart Williams, Rob Henderson, all this stuff is back, and these are not like just half-assed articles you'll find on like Jezebel or the Onion or fucking Medium or something like that. These are actual studies. These are actual PDFs of research papers that they are quoting from. Men are more competitive, innately, proclivity-wise. He's playing a fucking video game, probably competing with other dudes at the same time. I don't know.
True.
No idea what this game is, nor do I care.
Whatever.
Regardless of how poorly you are working.
Dominance hierarchies, competence hierarchies, meritocracy, all of that stuff flies out the window because we don't see the value in it. Because
bring him on. Hey, this guy ever wanted to come on chat.
Whenever women come into political power, whenever you get an AOC, whenever you get a woman who gets into Congress or the Senate, the first thing they do, their first priority, their number one priority, is not to their constituency. It is to the female purpose. It is to the sisterhood uber alles. So you got. I was going to say, you get women who go in there and the first thing they talk about is we need to legalize abortion. We need to change up divorce laws. We need to change these things. We need all of these things that we think are so.
I'm trying not to hit in on that, Ophelia, but yeah, but I don't want to be that guy because that's like a little bit mean. Although he did write a book and he is older. But Ophelia says, the way he talks about articles and studies, it's so obvious he has no fluency in talking about research. Yeah, it's a little gatekeepy, but when somebody's like, I have real studies, not Jezebel and Vox and whatever, but I have PDFs of papers, like, bro, what do you even say? Just say you have like a study. Like, that's it. You don't have to say you have a PDF of a study. Or you don't have to talk about like sites that write articles based on studies. Like, the vernacular is very weird. But I mean, hey, what do I know? I'm not in research, but it's funny to listen to him talk about it.
Horribly unfair, and it all becomes about women's issues and not all of our issues.
Yep. Yeah, that is true too. He calls himself data driven, and he says his brand is the rational male, and he's got like a whole list of logical fallacies. You should probably be a tad more fluent when it comes to bringing up and citing research, rather than just showing pictures on Twitter over and over again. That's probably true. The man is irrelevant. You reacted enough. Please stop. He did a video on me. There's like 20 minutes left. Chill.
Like, how are we going to govern? Doesn't matter as long as women get theirs, as long as the sisterhood is served. I can go on forever. I don't want to go on forever about that.
And it feels like I understand his perspective too. Like, I might say something like, I believe that in societies, having more women in positions of power than what were there before, it's probably beneficial for a whole host of like multivariate reasons. And he'll be like, I have a picture of a study that actually shows that on the agreeableness index, men actually score 15% higher than women, which destroys your entire argument. It's like, I don't know if a personality inventory on like a study is going to explain broad macro effects of like trends in society. It seems a little bit simplistic, my dude. Like, it seems like, can we be a little bit more holistic about how we look at things? Well, actually, if you look at where men and women score on the big five, okay, well, show me that then. Then you should be able to have a more abstract study that can show me like the differences in leadership, like what are the effects produced by companies that tend to be driven by women versus men or whatever. Like, show me that then. Like, show me a macro level study, not like these ultra granular, like here's the difference in personality traits, because like those might not necessarily boil out into huge changes in leadership structure or in the decisions that people make in companies. Women might be a moderating effect on other women in larger cases on their emotions, or men might be a moderating effect on other men. Who knows, right? Like you should be able to demonstrate this in a way that is actually demonstrating it and not just giving me a personality inventory.
I talk in a.
Sneako's reciting the Shahada. I can't watch. If I watch a shit, he's gonna jump on and argue, and I'm never gonna finish the 9/11 shit. I'm not gonna finish anything. I'm not gonna finish anything. I'm not finishing anything. Nothing is getting finished. Okay, let me finish this. Fuck you.
Great extent about the sisterhood uber alles in this book. That's where I see us going.
That's where you see us going.
We're going to be our politics are emotionalized. Our media, our entertainment is all emotionalized.
Yes, Terminator with a female actress, James Bond.
Everything is feminized and everything is emotionalized primarily right now, and we think that that's going to sell more movies and more.
It's backfiring.
I'll leave you with this.
What's backfiring? It's also, you want to talk about a false dichotomy or a false binary. Emotion and reason are not two things that exist opposite one another. To try to pit them against each other on a singular spectrum is in and of itself fallacious and incredibly immature. The idea that emotion makes you weak or that reason is the only way to like be rational is dumb. That's an incredibly naive view of the world.
The Star Wars movies, I know John's a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
And the last 3 Star Wars movies were just,
I think he's looking backwards from his
and the reason for that is because they don't know how to write the hero's journey. It's a male specific like thing, right?
Yeah.
Men must become.
Yes.
We have a
No, hold on. That is so wrong. The hero's journey doesn't have anything intrinsically to do with a man. You can write that story for a woman. That is absolute.
Yes, except for every time we do write it for women, it sucks. That's why we have the Mary Sue.
First of all, no. There are hero's journeys that are written for women. It doesn't happen as much, but they exist. There are strong female protagonists traditionally in media. Ripley from Alien is a really good example of that. Kill Bill, arguably, that's more of a tale of revenge, so it's not as much a hero's journey. Could you consider part 2 a hero's journey, overcoming an obstacle? I don't think I would consider Kill Bill a hero's journey. Mulan is absolutely a hero's journey, but they already went into that. It's because she was trying to be a man, I guess. There are male characters that are written as Gary Stews as well. There are male characters that are written as, in Japanese media or video games, you can find a ton of these. Yeah, video games like Parasite Eve or whatever. The robots in Nier Automata, maybe. You can find male characters that are written too strongly as well. The idea that it's not a... Also, his argument was also a non sequitur. If I say there's nothing intrinsic to the hero's journey about it being a male, and you go, well, they haven't written good female ones, both of those statements could be true and non-contradictory. Like, it might be the case that, even if I granted him that, which isn't true, but even if I granted him that like all hero's journeys that are written for men tend to be better than women ones, but it still doesn't mean it intrinsically has to be a man. There's nothing even contradictory there. We would call that a non sequitur fallacy. $1 Million Baby? That might be. I don't think I watched that movie. It's been a long time, but it is a valid point. No, it's not a valid point. That's not a valid point. No, that's literally not. That's literally the definition of an invalid point.
Because when we look at, by the way, I just talked about this with the Sabo brothers not too long ago on their channel. We were talking about Star Wars specifically, but like the hero's journey. Yeah, you could. Can you write it for the one? Yeah, you could, but nobody does.
Then we agree. Then you don't even disagree with me. Why are you even fighting me on this point? Then just say, then the proper response would have been like, sure, Destiny, the hero's journey can be written for anybody, but they currently they kind of suck when they write it for women. Yeah, that could be the case. For some of them they do, for sure. And it might even be because they're trying too hard to do that like fucking female empowerment shit. Yeah, I don't even think that's necessarily right. I probably agree with both of those statements. But there's nothing that makes it intrinsically male. That's just not, it doesn't have to be intrinsically male. If you understand the Greek, if you've ever studied the hero's journey shit, there's nothing about it that says they have to be a man.
I'll let him finish here.
Not correct. Number one. Number two, love him or hate him. Okay, I'm gonna run the risk at looking like a loser here. Okay. My guess is that all 3 of those Star Wars sequels probably grossed over $1 billion each. That's my guess. Maybe they.
Yeah, because the fan base is there. Because the fanboys are there.
If the fan base is there, then you can't say go woke, go broke.
Fucking Star Wars, for fuck's sake, man. How about how much do you think the Han Solo movie made? How much do you think Rogue One made? How much do you think like any of the spin-offs are making? Well,
God, the Solo film sucked. So the Han Solo film made $400 million. That was a male lead. I believe Rogue One was a female lead, wasn't it? Or am I making that up? I hated both of these films. Rogue One made over $1 billion. So here we have the male character that made, oh, and by the way, do you want to know why? Oh, I'm so glad he brought these up. Do you want to know why I hated Solo? Because Han Solo was written as a Gary Stu. He absolutely was. And it was one of the reasons why I hated this fucking film. I thought when I was watching Solo, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, it's been a long time since I've seen this dog shit fucking movie. When I watched Han Solo, I thought I was gonna see like a cocksure, arrogant, kind of like young, roguish boy who was gonna like learn how to be good at everything and learn like how did he pick up his skills, how did he do this shit. That's what I thought we were gonna see for Solo. But it wasn't. It was like in one scene he was a boy, the next scene he joins the military, and then after that he's got all of his skills as Han Solo. And it's like, wait, why the fuck am I even watching this prequel? I'm not learning anything about like his development as a character. I'm getting like this whole side story that never mattered, never was an important part of any of the fucking shit. It was just what a shitty fucking film. Solo was an absolute Gary Stu in this. But yeah, I feel like you didn't watch, like Han Solo knew all of his skills and could do everything. I think he was already like an expert level pilot and everything by the time you're like 5 minutes into the movie because it said he joined the military. And I was like, okay, well that's kind of boring, but whatever. That was one of the big reasons I didn't like it. But anyway, yeah, that's a good example that he brings this up. Like the Rogue One had a female lead. It grossed over $1 billion against a $250 million budget. This Han Solo barely made its money back. Or the Solo, a Star Wars, like barely made its money back. Rogue One was a hero's journey 100% though, right? It might have been, but I just don't remember. Both of these movies were so fucking forgettable to me. God, I hated them. I didn't hate them. They were just forgettable and boring.
Star Wars. It's like pizza, man. There's no bad pizza.
Well, they made a lot of money.
Yeah, but that's not the metric of how good or bad the movie was. It's just how supportive the fan base is. Like, what was it? Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel was the first technically the first flop that Marvel ever produced. But you wouldn't know it by...
Wait.
Reading the reviews from Rotten Tomatoes, which were bought off by Disney, which were bought off by Marvel.
What does he mean when he says flop? This grossed over $1 billion against a budget of $160 million. I agree it was a horrible dog shit movie. I shouldn't say dog shit. I didn't like it. It was really boring and forgettable and dumb. How is this a flop?
There's a reason why they launched Captain Marvel on International Women's Day, March 8th. I remember the day when it came out. Me and Pat Campbell talked about it. They don't care. Money's money. Like, honestly, if you're going to use that as a metric of like,
what are you using? What are you using as a metric for when you say a movie flopped? Usually, or man, I'm just dumb. But anytime I hear somebody say a movie flopped, they're talking about money. I'm curious what he's using as a metric. How good the movie is? How is he quantifying that? What the quartering gave it as a review, or
even though it made a shit ton, like, just because a lot of people saw it doesn't necessarily mean that was great. It was a fantastic movie, or they were like, it was a good series of movies. Also, it has nothing to do with how the characters were written.
Didn't? We've got 1.33 billion here,
and
1.074 billion here, and true. What was the name of the final movie? I don't even remember the name.
I don't even remember the name of the final movie. Does it matter now? Does it matter?
I don't remember the names of the 3 fucking prequel movies either. It was the Clone Wars was the second one. Revenge of the Sith was the first or third one. Star Wars A New Hope? Was that 4, 5, or 6? Oh, The Phantom Menace was one of them. I don't fucking remember. I don't remember the names of any of these fucking Star Wars movies, okay? I barely remember fucking A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, okay? Barely, okay? I don't fuck these movies. I don't care. I don't like Star Wars.
I don't remember the name of the final movie either. You know why? Because it's that forgettable. It might have made $2 billion, but you can't remember the name of it, can you?
Is that the marker we're using? It's just The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker. What was the other one called?
Force Awakens.
The Force Awakens.
Yep.
He's like, he knows all of them. Bro, everybody knows the fucking, the Return of the Jedi, and I thought everybody hated that fucking Star Wars movie, but everybody remembers the name of the fucking, everybody remembers the name of it, but whatever. I don't know what this is proving one or another, but I love that he knew it so quickly. And he only knows it because he hates it so much. That's what's funny about it. I'm sorry.
That was the first one, actually. I think. I don't even know. Who knows? He can't even remember it.
That's $2 billion.
Wow. So $2 billion for a movie whose title you can't even remember. I think that says a whole lot more about the sad state of those movies than the money does.
Does it? So I mean, it's obviously not failing. You can criticize it for whatever you want, but like people are watching it.
They're not remembering the title.
How can you say that the hero's journey is male exclusive?
It is.
God, the worst thing that people do is when they make their media takes, like they try to like shoehorn that into their like political ideology. Wait, you literally just said that it could be written for women though. It doesn't have to be men. You just said that a lot of the women ones recently suck, which is fine. I don't even agree on that. I don't even know if I would fight against that. Like, oh yeah, like, did you know that you can't have like a true hero's journey with a female protect? Yeah, you can. What are you talking about, bro?
Such as? What examples? What examples?
Alien is a really good example. I think Alien is probably, or if not Alien, Aliens. You could probably do an arc over all 3 of the movies. Would be an example of like a female version of the hero's journey. Somebody mentioned Trinity earlier in chat, but that wasn't a hero's journey for Trinity. That would have been for Neo. The first one as well. You might be able to do the first one. I don't remember the first Alien that well. It's been a long time. That's the one where they're at the table and the guy has the thing burst out of his chest, right? Oh, the new Kill Bill, or not new Kill Bill, the new Predator movie as well. I haven't seen the new Predator movie.
Are there? Because right now, certainly not in the 21st century. Let's be honest here. A lot of people, like I had this conversation with the Sable Brothers, and I explained this. I said,
"Is Hunger Games one? Would Hunger Games be considered hero's journey?" I'd have to go back and watch it again. I hated that fucking. I hated that movie.
Why the hero's journey doesn't work for women? Because men must become and women just are. So to understand the hero's journey is to have to be a man in the first place to become.
That's such a dog shit.
Something more than you are. There's a cycle to it. You can go and probably should have there's a template for like understanding the hero's journey.
Oh yeah.
I can go show you here's the phases that you have to go through to go to the hero's journey. You find Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? And you go through the rest of it, right? And then finally the fight and the conflict and everything, and then there is a resolution and it comes full circle once again. Okay. Could you put a woman into that? Yes. Try to.
Okay.
But it's not believable. Or it's usually something like the reason why I used the Force Awakens, whatever the hell it is. The reason why I use Rey as an example is because she was a Mary Sue and she was the first thing that everybody complained about. They said, oh, it's sexism. You're trying to shoehorn all this stuff into your personal beliefs. No, it sucked and it failed because she was a Mary Sue. Why? Because she just was and she didn't have to become.
Yeah, but that's just bad writing. It's not because she was a woman. It was just shit writing. Right? Now, it might be the case that because she was written by the people that wrote her, maybe they were inspired because she was a woman, but it's not because she was a woman. That's a fault of the writing. You can have like characters that are too strong that are written in that way. They're both men and women. There aren't only Mary Sues that are women. Like the same thing exists on the male side.
Have to do any of that kind of stuff. And this is, of course, the imagination. I also used examples of who did I use? I think we were talking about Spider-Man. We were talking about like Captain America. Captain America is probably a good, maybe not hero's journey, but like a man must become. And we also talked about how when you look, a male fantasy, a beta male fantasy is Peter Parker, right? Spider-Man. And it is the guy, the weak, weesh kind of guy who gets, he gets bullied and he gets his ass kicked in high school and he grinds his teeth and stuff. If I was just as big as strong as you, I would use my powers for good, right? Well, he gets bit by a radioactive spider and suddenly now beta ass, weesh ass Peter Parker has superpowers. And he is an alpha male, or effectively an alpha male with superpowers, spider senses, all the superpowers that Spider-Man has. You could say the same thing for Captain America too, because he was this little weakling, 98-pound weakling. They put him in the super chamber and give him the super sauce, and he comes out as Captain America. In body, he's an alpha male. In mind, he's still the good guy for truth, justice, and the American way. He's going to use his superpowers for good, because you should, with great power comes great responsibility. And the reason why that sticks with us is because we think that the people who have great power don't understand the responsibility. But the beta male does, because he's always had his ass kicked. He's always got the nuclear wedges from the jock in high school in the locker room. I would never do that.
This is like such a bizarre reading of the world. I don't even know. I don't know what to say in response to that. I truly don't even know what to. I don't know.
Would use my powers for good and save people's lives and do good. Be a good dude. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that that's the fantasy, to be a beta in that body of an alpha and use that alpha, superpowered alpha-ness in a way that a beta male would use it. Now, when I was talking to Rocky and Kevin,
it's so bizarre in so many ways. Like the point of Spider-Man, the hero's journey for Spider-Man wasn't just becoming powerful, right? I think it was literally learning how to be a responsible, powerful person. Is that a toxic, or is he saying that's a bad thing? Learning how to wield power responsibly? Isn't that like a traditional hallmark of a strong or good man? Is somebody that knows how to wield power in a reasonable or responsible manner? Is he saying that like that's cringe? Or like, I can't even. I don't even know what.
And I also made this observation as well, is that because men must become and women just are, writing a female into that traditionally, conventionally male hero's journey is fundamentally misunderstood by the writers. That's why you get a Rey. That's why you get female characters that fall flat. They're not believable because they didn't have to do anything to earn their powers, to earn their stripes, to go from zero to hero, because women just are. They start as hero. She just knows how to use a lightsaber. She just has this she has this magical knowledge that Luke took years and years, but that's how special she is. They just simply don't know and don't care to know because it's not even an afterthought for them. Oh, she just is. So we're going to continue the story. And that's why the stories suck. That's why you can't remember the goddamn name of the movies.
How many Disney movies? Have you seen Mulan? Like, what the fuck? Sorry.
Yes, Mulan.
It's about becoming a man.
Into a traditionally masculine role. She had to actually become a man.
But she didn't become a man, right? That didn't actually happen. Or did I miss that part of the...
Had to become. And the other dangerous part about that is it's basically gender swapping. It's basically transgenderism in the early days of Disney, essentially. Well, she had to learn. At what point? At what point is she getting her ass handed to her? At what point she goes in and basically Mulan is the story of a girl who has the ability and the natural talent and everything else. And by the way, she's still a female. She still falls in love with the prince, the Chinese emperor's prince, whatever. She's still a chick at the end of it. So let's just clarify the end of that freaking movie.
Like literally every movie has people falling in love with people. Like.
But even still, she still comes in because she has this natural, wondrous talent that no one else has. You can find this in Brave, the movie Brave. You can find it in Moana. You can find it in, I guess, Frozen too. Maybe. I can't even remember Frozen. It was so long ago. When my daughter was a young kid.
Wait, hold on. I don't think she had the natural, wondrous talent, though. No? Doesn't it? That's what the whole point of like the training montage shit was.
Okay. When you're watching these things, there's this female empowerment narrative that never includes having a come-up story. Brave, she's just...
I don't understand. When your ideology is so strong, it poisons your ability to even... Maybe he's talking about the new Mulan. If I'm going to try to be ultra charitable, maybe he's talking about the new Mulan. Maybe they don't do it in that. But I'm pretty sure the entirety of the Mulan story was how originally she was weak and wordless and had to go through all the struggles of being a woman and blah blah blah. But she had her whole training arc. It's not like she started off super strong. But maybe the 2021 was really bad. Maybe. I don't know.
Really good with the bow and arrow. She taught this guy who's this big buffoon of a man. Daddy's always this, lovable doof. But the guy, Gaston, she showed Gaston a thing or two. Because when you put women into those characters, when you write a story about women, or women are the primary main characters of that particular story, it ends up being a revenge fantasy. Anything you can do, I can do better. You don't remember that song, do you? Thanks from West Side Story. Anything you can do, I can do better. Anything you can do, I can do too. No, you can't. Yes, I can. No, you can't. Yes, I can. That's what that is. That's the female fantasy. It's a revenge fantasy. And I mentioned this as well, and I'll reiterate it here again. If you go and you watch, I use this as an example when I was talking to the Sables. If you watch Black Widow with Scarlett Johansson, that one, the most recent one, the guy who plays her dad, of course, is the guy that's in Stranger Things. I can't remember the actor's name. However, when that whole thing goes down, the main villain in that, I think people were complaining because he had I don't know if it was a new villain or if it was just some obscure villain that they brought in, but the guy was essentially Harvey Weinstein. He was the guy who controlled all the other Black Widows or the La Femme Nikitas, right? The Russian assassins, the specially trained assassin women who were under his spell, under his mental control. And then at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, at the end of the movie, Scarlett Johansson frees the women and they turn on him, and then that's when they kill him. And he looks an awful lot, at least in sort of silhouette anyways, looks a lot like Harvey Weinstein. Now
does he? I don't know if that's true or not because I never watched this movie. Do you think he's got a problem with is it a stretch to say that kind of happened in Mad Max? That the wives were all being controlled by that weird creepy dude, and don't they end up kind of betraying him when anytime they've got a confrontation, one wife throws herself in front of Max or the vehicle so that he doesn't shoot or whatever? Do you think you'd have a similar complaint? Maybe? I don't know. I haven't seen this Black Widow movie. I wonder what he'd think about the women's roles in Mad Max. Maybe he thinks that's all bad too. Who knows? I have no idea.
Use that as an example because that is a revenge fantasy. We couldn't get it didn't feel good when Harvey went to jail. We really wanted to tear him limb from limb. Okay, let's write a revenge fantasy for a Marvel film where we'll make the villain into Harvey Weinstein and we can all feel good about it. That's really what The Handmaid's Tale is about. That's really what, name the movie. Name the movie where the woman, the main protagonist, doesn't in some way show up a guy or show up a stereotypical, he finally got his, right? There's what was it? I forget the name of the movie, but it was the retelling, I think, of a very similar story to what happened to Megyn Kelly, I think it was. And like when she left Fox News, and I think it was like Bill O'Reilly or something. Like the whole fantasy of it. They weren't using their names, right? But the whole fantasy, you knew who they were portraying, but they weren't like they renamed the characters, right? But the whole thing was bringing down this guy who's a sexual harasser. He's just this, he's just this creepy, lecherous old guy. Go and get that guy, tear him down, bring him down, and women can feel good about that. That's usually what women protagonists are about. And by the way, don't give me the Alien with Ellen Ripley. Okay, you want that explanation? Here we go.
Oh boy.
Alien is probably my favorite movie of all time. I will go to my grave saying, yes, Alien was my favorite movie because it scared the living crap out of me when I was like 10 or 12 years old. Okay. However, great movie. Ridley Scott is probably his magnum opus, and probably didn't even know he was doing it. It was absolutely fantastic. Although Gladiator was good too. Ridley Scott, fantastic director, fantastic story, well done. People always want to use Ellen Ripley as this forerunner to the strong female lead. And you could make a case for her in the trilogy. However, in the first movie, in 1979, you have to remember what was going on in 1979. You had movies like Halloween or Friday the 13th that followed a very similar slasher snuff film plot, which is we get a bunch of kids, we take them to Camp Silver Lake or Sleepy Hollow or whatever the hell it is, and we kill them off one by one until the final girl is there and she figures out some way to defeat Jason or Freddy Krueger or Michael Myers, right? And she's just the plucky girl who just, because she's by default, she has to win because otherwise it's like everybody's dead and there's nobody to tell the tale, right? So, and unfortunately, we're still dealing with like Halloween #5 or something like that with Jamie Lee Curtis, who's like in a wheelchair. But that's what was going on in 77, 78, 79. That was a very popular template. And it wasn't just, those are the ones you know, like Friday the 13th. And there's one called The Stranger Calls. I remember that scared the crap out of me too. But that was the formula. And Alien was pretty much a snuff film in space. I mean, template-wise, it was very well done. Don't get me wrong. But plot-wise, it was a snuff film. And the critter, the alien, the xenomorph, messily kills every crew member, except for the plucky little girl at the end who has to stick around because you don't get another movie afterwards. She has to defeat the monster at the end. And
but that still doesn't negate whether or not they went through like the hero's journey arc or whatever. Like you can have a snuff film where they still arguably go through that. Wasn't like one of the Friday the 13th? No, yeah, Friday the 13th was like the Dream Warriors one. I don't remember all the different Jason and Freddy Krueger movies. But didn't those movies, the kids have to like learn how to fight Freddy throughout the movie as well, and eventually they have more and more confrontations with him until finally they're able to beat him.
And then it also follows the same plot formula where it's like you think the killer's dead, and then he suddenly comes back alive, but she managed to defeat him at the end, and you thought it was over, but it's not really over, and she had to kill him. Same thing, she gets in the escape, or was it the narcissist, right? The escape vehicle, to get away from the ship, she explodes, right? But the critters actually think, oh, it's all over. No, it's the same. It's the same thing as Friday the 13th. Same thing as Halloween. Same plot formula. So when people say, "Oh, well, she's the strong, independent woman," well, if that's the case, I could also, if that's your logic, I could make a case that whoever was the survivor of Michael Myers or Freddy Krueger or Jason in Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street or whatever classics, I could make the case that the girls who were left over, they're just as strong and independent as Ellen Ripley was. But yes, Ellen Ripley.
Does he think this is like a huge revelation? Alien was a horror movie. Everybody knows that. That's not like he knows this. He's old enough. Like that's not a mystery to anybody. Alien is a horror movie. That was one of the reasons why Aliens was so kind of interesting, is because Cameron came in and took what was traditionally like a horror movie and he turned it into really was an action movie. It was kind of action horror. But Alien, the first Alien was obviously a horror movie. That's like not that's not controversial. That's not like a novel observation. Is he saying that horror movies can't have heroes' journeys in them, or
turn her into an action hero? She was a female action hero. She was like Sylvester Stallone. She was like I guess Arnold Schwarzenegger. That type. I'm not saying exactly like that, but who's the 80s female action hero? You would say Ellen Ripley, Sigourney Weaver, right? Ghostbusters even. Right? That was funny. I think that threw a lot of people off. God, I digress. But like when Roll in the first Ghostbusters and you see her and she's like, God damn, she's pretty hot. She's not Ellen Ripley, badass. She's actually plays a stereotypically female character in Ghostbusters, and you go, wow, cleans up really well.
Okay. Jesus Christ.
Performance, and we go through these trials and tribulations to become something, right? Whereas when you get like Rey, she already is. She's a Mary Sue, right? She's already used a lightsaber just magically, right? Didn't have to do that. Well, the reason why we think that that's a good idea is because the writers who put that together are from that generation of emotionalism. And so we have a Mary Sue written as if it's this we're just going to give her tits and a vagina, and then give her the power from the beginning. Yep. And so because this emotional society thinks that that's what.
Wait, because it's a male character, you shouldn't have Mary Sue's with female. That's just bad writing.
We give it the name Mary Sue because it's female, dude.
Now they might have been inspired to make her a Mary Sue because she's a female character. That's possible. I think I've before, but like,
why is it not Johnny Ray or Joey Tribbiani? I know
there's a name for it's Gary Stu is what you would call on the male side. But like, let's ignore for one moment. Let's take a step back and instead of being like a first grader, well, it's called Mary Sue. Well, let's ignore the name of the concept. What is the concept? The concept is a character that has a tremendous amount of strength that's supposed to be the protagonist that never struggles. That's the point of a Mary Sue, and that's why it's unsatisfying. Because when you're presenting a protagonist and they never struggle, you don't feel any victory when they overcome whatever their trials or tribulations are. That was one of the big drawbacks, I believe, of Captain Marvel and of Rey in most of the Star Wars movies. She tends to not struggle or have to learn anything to overcome her struggles. But there's nothing intrinsic about that to a female character, right? There could be male characters that have similar issues. That Han Solo, in my opinion, in that Solo movie is a really good example of a male character that never struggles. I'm sure if we stop and think, there's probably a ton of dog shit like characters where in male movies where the main protagonist just never seems to struggle, even when they're having supposed to be like a hero's journey. But
why is it not like we call it a Mary Sue? Because it is a female character. That's why. It wasn't Johnny this or whatever. It was Mary Sue.
They weren't making her a male character. They were just making a shit character. Like, even male characters shouldn't start off like that.
It was a shit character because they are trying to shoehorn a female into a conventionally male role. It was not believable, and you still can't remember the name of the movie, and neither can anybody else.
The fan base wants to see. They want to see this powerful. We need more powerful women and independent women leads in our movies. And you know what's kicking their ass? Mandalorian with a little baby. That's what women want. Is Baby Yoda. They want Grogu.
God, asshole clench.
They want Baby Yoda. They don't.
Is it wrong? That was what it was easy to understand. The baby. They don't want Tomb Raider.
See, he thinks that like women love the Mandalorian because of the baby. Okay. Oh, that was it? Wait, hello?
A man, a male character that is protecting the baby. They are trying to force fit, shoehorn a female into a conventionally male role. It was not believable, and you still can't remember the name of the movie, and neither can anybody else.
Wants to see. They want to see this powerful. We need more powerful women and strong women and independent women leads in our movies. And you know what's kicking their ass? Mandalorian with a little baby. That's what women want. Is Baby Yoda.
God, it makes my asshole clench.
They want Baby Yoda. They don't.
Is it wrong? That was what it was easy to understand. The baby. They don't. Tomb Raider. Women don't want action heroes. They don't want. Clearly, they don't want. Like the number one thing when the Mandalorian first came out, and it was when that came out. Like there's a reason why it was super popular. There's a baby in it. Oh my God, and there's a man, a male character that is protecting the baby. Right.
This is what I mean when I say like ideology can melt your brain. Like that's what an unbelievable interpretation of everything. Like, oh, the Mandalorian, that was really popular. I think it was popular because there was the Baby Yoda thing, and then it was a man protecting a baby, so all the women loved it. Like, what an unreal analysis. Holy shit.
Am I wrong? Right? Like, why is one character popular and one not? Why was that a risk? Yet you can't remember the names of the other Star Wars videos.
Want ass kicking Mama Rey. They want Baby Yoda is what they want. Maternity. Because that's an innate drive in women is not, oh, I'm going to learn a lightsaber and learn how to kick ass and take names. That's a man's job. Yep. And on our root lizard brain, on our pineal gland brain, we understand that. We recognize that. That's part of the machine.
Truth. Anyone that was alive in the 90s, famous movie that came out from Disney, Mulan. Okay? In the movie, what happens? Man. A woman must become, right? She learns in the beginning, she didn't know how to fight. She gets her ass kicked. She can't, like, whatever, shoot the bow and arrows. But what did they do? The song, be a man, you must be, you know what I'm saying? You must become in the song, right? And then she learns the skills.
Oh my God, it's part of the theme. It's ironic. That's the joke. The song and everything is that like, you're a woman, be a man. It's a joke because she's not actually a man. It's part of the theme of the movie is her wrestling with the fact that she is like a woman, but is still trying to accomplish what a man does. It wasn't actually literally telling her to be a man. No. Or maybe she was a man.
Could she have been a woman and still been in the army? Would she not have had to have become that?
No. It's not because she was a woman that she couldn't be in the army. It's because the army had a rule for no women. It's a different thing. It's like saying, could a man or could a black person have been a scientist in the 1800s? Probably not. But not because a black person can't be a scientist, but because society said that fucking black people were slaves. It's a different thing.
Man, would she not have had to been forced into that? Oh, let me put myself back in. Would she not have to be forced into that conventionally male role? Well, about Disney, I mean, now you can say it's whatever. Oh, they were just joshing about that. Well, why include it in the song? Why include the song in the movie? And
I'm sorry. My bad. Oh, fuck. Why does this fuck up?
Woman Well, why include it in the song? Why include the song in the movie? And remember, Mulan was also done way back. Disney's always been on this narrative, but Mulan was an 80s thing. Remember, she still falls in love with the prince. She still turns back into the princess, or she turns back into the female. And you want to know another, again.
Because the whole point was that she didn't need to turn into a male to do what she needed to do, right? The movie was kind of like against sexist tropes. That was the point.
Mulan, revenge fantasy. Brave, a revenge fantasy. Moana, a revenge fantasy. And name any movie, especially Disney, name any movie with a female lead, which is like pretty much all of them right now. Name any one of those, and you will probably find that there's I can do it too. I can be equal. It's blank slate. It's all based on, a girl can do it too. We're trying to fight against this endemic patriarchal oppression. So Mulan had to turn herself into a boy so she could prove she's just as good as a girl, right? Or she's just as good as a guy. She's a girl who's just as good as a guy, right? What about, here's one for you. You want a gender swap? This is what I'm waiting for. We'll never do this, but familiar with Conan? Is anybody familiar with Red Sonja? Red Sonja was a very popular character of chainmail bikinis. I'm sure she was in the late 70s, early 80s, right around that time. There's always got to be some counterbalance, right? The Wonder Woman was the Superman, right? Clearly you can find the we can do it too kind of thing. There's always been a push, whether it's in Marvel or whether it's Super Disney Pixar, whether it's Mulan, there's always a push to say, well, we can do it too. We're just not given the chance. No, you can't, because we're fundamentally intrinsically different. That's why Become a Man, that's why you laugh at it. That's why you're outraged by it, because the underlying message for all of these movies is the blank slate. Nothing matters except invention, social constructionism, and the blank slate. That's all Disney has been doing for at least the mid 70s. That's all we see in Hollywood today. But it's not just about the blank slate. It's also revenge. Well, men have held us back, and so now we're going to prove to you that we're just as tough as men and we can do whatever. Now, Red Sonja is the counterbalance to Conan. And the difference is around killing dudes, because she's proving to everyone that she can be just as tough and kill guys just as wantonly as Conan. She's a tough bitch. She's Red Sonja. Chainmail bikini. And did it, right? So what I want to see is a gender swap. Like, when are we going to see the gender swap of a ginger barbarian who goes around with a big sword or an axe, or whatever she was using, like who is a ginger barbarian, doesn't have to have bikini, but he's a ginger barbarian. He goes around, he kills women because he wants to prove to women that he's just as strong as any woman. When are we going to see that movie come out of Hollywood? When Marvel's got the rights, I'm sure. When are we going to see Red Sonja turn into this gender swapped ginger barbarian who goes around and exclusively kills women to prove how tough he is? Like, he's tougher than any woman. When do we see that? That's what it sounds like equality to me. You want to talk about the blank slate narrative?
True.
No man's Red Sonja.
True and based. And red-pilled.
She learns how to fight, and she does this all with a masculine frame of reference. That movie did she had to become. Even a woman had to adhere to masculine traits to be able to get the entertainment value. The hero's journey. No one cares. It's a masculine story every single time, even if you put a woman in the lead. And Mulan, when did that movie come out? In the fucking 90s. That would never come nowadays, right? Because a woman having to become, what? Ugh. And now here's the thing. Hollywood is paying the consequence for being woke. You want to be woke? Because at the end of the day, people know deep down that women just are and men must become. And even if you put a woman into a male role, if you want to get the views and you want to get the entertainment, she still has to become.
I don't know, man.
Here we go.
How much responsibility do you feel you have, particularly guys, the alt-right, as you say, some of them have enjoyed your work. And so
is this the one where she asks what female authors? Oh, somebody got real mad at me because apparently this clip is edited to be longer than it actually was. So I am so sorry, my Jordan Peterson worshippers in chat, that this misleading clip. I think I even say in the video, like, this might be edited, but I'm so sorry to offend you. I know how sensitive you guys are as well. Oh no.
This is majorly boring now. Okay. Like, this is like lazy podcast. Maybe this is just the replay on YouTube. This is like lazy ass podcasting. So let me make a few before I get out of here. Okay. So women opt for more egalitarian redistributive policies than men do, prioritize equality over efficiency, and report greater willingness to share wealth. Back once again to why women are the socialist sex, why it is endemic, or it is like innate to women's psyches. That's why I say that. There's a study right there. Want another one? Here. Women support an encompassing welfare state to a greater degree than men, even more so in more gender egalitarian countries. Like where? Finland. Hey. Okay, this is what it was. In this research, I set out to explore the gender gap in support of the welfare state in 21 European countries. First, this study showed that in general, women support an encompassing welfare state to a degree than men do, and by levels that well match the levels of traditionally explored factors such as class and labor market status. At the country level, role theory that gender equality in unpaid labor would be associated with gender similarity in socio-political attitudes due to an overlap of life patterns and role expectations. However, the present findings show a more equal distribution of unpaid care and domestic work correlates with women being increasingly supportive of a large and encompassing welfare state in comparison with men. So, men like to redistribute things and men like to be hierarchical. Sounds like it to me. Now remember, this is in the most egalitarian countries in the world. Gender equality in unpaid labor is positively associated with gender differences in a welfare state. These results align better with the predictions that were made by combining modernization theory and institutional theory on public opinion. This perspective holds that positive impact on women's everyday lives result from a more equal division of unpaid labor should correspond to women being more supportive of an encompassing welfare state in comparison with men, especially if part of the reason for this progression is some of the care responsibilities to the state rather than altered gender roles for men. So, long story short, if beta bucks from the state, they're more than happy to support a welfare state.
So I say beta bucks
to have the child support, AFPC, whatever it is. They're all about an encompassing welfare state to a greater degree than men. Of course they are, because they benefit more from that. And it seems, and it fits logically, it sounds like it's correct because it is redistributive ways of organizing society. It's communitarianism. Men in competition, I think I got to this. Men attribute more positive outcomes to competition than women do. And this was a really good one. I was hoping if I ever got with, like, Destiny, if you ever want to do something like this, I'm happy to entertain this. Male students prefer protecting free speech over an inclusive and diverse society by a decisive 61 to 39. Took the opposite position, favoring an inclusive, diverse society over free speech by 64 to 35. Okay, so egalitarianism, inclusiveness, whatever it is a female way of thinking versus free speech, which is a male way of thinking. Like, how are we going to test an idea? How are we going to, Andrew Tate just got it right here. Here we go. Oh, by the way, and so this is these are teachers, and remember, 78% of teachers certainly in the United States, from preschool to post-secondary, are female. The rise of angry freshman boys. Have you all heard of a sexist, misogynistic, disgusting excuse of a human being known as Andrew Tate? Well, I promise you, all your middle school and high school boys have, and they're addicted to his content. Just this week, I've had 6 conversations with families about their sons saying shit like, women are inferior to men, women belong in the kitchen, MS, whatever. Not only are they making these misogynistic claims in class, but they are literally assignments if it's sourced from a woman. I had 3 boys refuse to read an article by a female author because women should only be housewives. But when I say I'm a teacher, and here the cognitive dissonance kicks in, and they start saying, yeah, but teaching is a woman's job. Right? Well, whatever. No, it's actually not. It should be a man's job. It is a woman's job now because most men don't want to get into teaching because it's low pay. They want to get hit for a sexual harassment case, even though they put 8 to 10 years, whatever, into their education and their student loans, only to be forced into this socialist. Remember, that's why we don't want to go to college anymore, right? It's a socialist indoctrination camp. Why do we have that impression of higher education? Because it's mostly women that are doing the organizing of those schools and doing the teaching.
That's what a weird observation. Feel free to email me if I'm wrong on this, but what a weird, this is kind of like the troubling part when your red pill shit starts to go awry. I don't think men aren't going to school because they're worried about being indoctrinated by socialism. I thought that one of the big reasons why men have trouble with school is that oftentimes men are the ones that are working to provide for the household. So anytime you run into a lot of economic trouble, they end up getting fucked the most on education. Like, I thought over the coronavirus period, a lot of men ended up dropping school because they had to work to provide and support for their families, and women didn't have to go through those same struggles, basically. So I don't think it's that like men aren't going to school because they're worried about socialist teachers. Maybe some are, but that's not a complaint that I've ever seen validated before.
Teaching, yes, we need more men. Absolutely, it's not teaching should not be a woman's job. It is now because but it shouldn't be. Also, clergy going to church should not be a woman's job, but that's what we got. That's what we're dealing with. It's not cognitive dissonance. It's just recognizing a pattern. But I think what's interesting here is you got teachers who are having a real problem with Andrew Tate here. But didn't Patrick Bet-David just tell us about an hour ago how women were going to save us and make us all more alpha? We just got to listen to the little ladies, and they're going to be the ones that are going to save it to come back. Well, apparently not the teacher, not the PTA here. They're not going to help us. They don't like Tate at all. They're happy he's banned, right? That's the PTA is against you, Andrew. Sorry, not my place. So no one is coming to save you. No one. All right, I want to throw this one out here real quick, just because I have it handy right here.
Madam MD.
I think we're good on this.
Attention to the law of unintended consequences.